Hi, friends. Welcome back. Good morning. Well, I guess it's not morning anymore. Good afternoon. Welcome to another reunion show on Sequester. We know what time it is. It is, in fact, Bobkin time. In fact, Bobkin's not going to be here, so it's not Bobkin time, but it is always still Bobkin time. We had a great show last night, I thought. I felt like we had a bunch of characters who were going to stick around the Sequester community and come back and play multiple times. And yet again, we had more 7-16 domination. I don't know how they continue to do it, but they do continue to do it. So we will go through the rounds today and discuss everything that happened last night. Let's bring in our first group, starting off with, of course, the winner, Chrissy. Hello, congratulations. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. And then we have the 7-16 counterpart, runner-up Nick. Hi, Nick.
Nick, you're muted.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. I can't believe it's your first time on here. All right, let's bring in everybody else as well. We have Melissa, we have Nolan, we have Haley, we have Tevin, Nathan, Noah, Nikki. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Afternoon.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hey, y'all.
So let's get right into it. I guess first things first, before we even go into the rounds, how were we feeling as we got into our rooms? What did we think of who we were with? What did we think of the videos? What was everybody's opinions as the game began?
Like the initial starting room?
Yeah.
I was very excited when I got in because before anybody else came in, I saw Nick, and I know Nick, and I knew I had to like straight face that and keep that kind of quiet. So I was excited to see him. And then everybody else that came in, like Nolan and Tom and Tevin, just good energy. It was a long time to sit there. I think the last time I played it, we had to be there at like 7:30. This one we had to be there at 7, so it was a long time to sit there. And I felt bad for Sparks because he had to keep taking care of things. And but yeah, positive vibes.
Yeah, it's the same kind of deal with me when same room, getting in there. Seemed like good energy. I like Tom, Nick, and Chrissy, and Tevin unfortunately was having some issue connecting with us, but was liking the look up of the 5 of us anyways, like that I was in a room with 5 people. I thought that was beneficial for the start, and turned out to work out round 1 anyways.
Initially, when I joined my room,
go ahead.
Sorry, I only felt good with Nathan. I was kind of sketched out by Charles and David. They were giving me like death stares in the room for a whole hour, and I was like, "Hi guys." No, and Nathan was giving me eyes, and yeah, so I felt good with Nathan, but not the other two.
No, I was so intimidated by our starting room because like I like look over. I don't like look at everyone because like I just felt super awkward. So I'd like look over and everyone was just like smiling, giving like a little creepy grin to the camera. I'm just gonna look away again. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was just, it's always so weird just like looking at people for an hour and you can't talk to them and it's just like, what do you do, so
I saw all the intro videos and I saw a lot of familiar faces from the Sequester community, and I was like, oh, okay, like I've seen them in the realm of Sequester. I've seen some of their games, like who were returning, and like I was like, okay, I feel good about this group. Like, this is a good cast. Like, I was very excited when I saw the intro videos that we had like such a good group of people in this premiere.
Yeah, I felt like there were a few good videos last night. First off, Bethlehem. Absolutely incredible.
I love that.
Best video ever.
It's so good.
So good.
Laughed so hard.
good.
Video.
Any video that makes me feel slightly unsettled, I'm always a huge fan of, and that is definitely the feeling that I got.
Yeah.
I was so on board with Beth being the first representative of season 3, if she won, of Winners at War, to really start the pace. Is like, this is what we're getting into for season 3. But yeah, I thought that was a very good video. Let's get right into it. Round one was interesting because it essentially took the twist from the night before where everybody knew each other and said, here, do it with a bunch of strangers. And you all managed to do it pretty well. I felt like in Nick and Tevin's case, I called it pretty early that y'all's internet was just not up to snuff. And because of it, like you were in the same room at the same time and couldn't manage to say that you didn't have a partner because both of your internets was going that bad. Were you both, did you realize that you were kind of out of luck while that was happening? Like what was your experience there?
I did, but at the point when we were in the same room, we couldn't even buddy up because we were in the same starting room as well. So that just put us out of it altogether. If we could have ended up in a room with two other people at that time that had already buddied up, we probably could have gotten them to buddy up with us and be safe that way. But at the point, we couldn't buddy up with each other.
Yeah, I was so scared. I knew that I was going to be one of the flops, and I was hoping that not every single person had a pair. And yeah. And then I threw my vote onto Fairy, hoping that maybe he would just like know to write my name.
Were y'all still
That's
stuck
kind
in
of what I
fourth?
did with Charles as well, because me and Charles both went to LSU. So I tried to throw it there and was like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. So
now it seemed like the actual vote, I mean, it really was just a question of whose internet was worse. Like everybody was saying the same reasons as to, well, Tevin's internet is really bad. Well, Nick's internet was really bad. I felt like the only difference was, Tevin, your internet was consistently bad, while Nick's was bad some of the time and some of the time okay. So I feel like that may have been the deciding factor, but how did everyone decide on the vote between Nick and Tevin?
I'll say that I didn't see Tevin, maybe because of like the internet, and because I knew of Nick through the Sequester community, and I did screw him in a safety chain like a while back. So I felt like I had to like, there was guilt in me to like save Nick from like, oh my God, I feel trauma. So that's just where it fell. Because I also didn't see Tevin that first round.
Yeah, very similar. And like in our initial mini that I played with Nick, he told everybody I was robbed in his jury speech, and it was freaking amazing. So I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I personally voted for Nick.
Yeah,
I was like, I told people I wasn't gonna vote for Tevin, so I just voted for Nick. I was like, I don't care. I played it off like I voted for Tevin, but I don't know. I'm just not gonna do something that I said I wasn't gonna do.
Yeah, I was super like I wasn't happy with the two being the only choices, obviously, because they were from my starting room, and the only thing that I had to go off with was that like Tevin's internet was like making it hard to communicate with him. And if I was going to potentially work with these people down the line, like I felt like I could at least like talk to Nick, even if he froze once in a while. But I might have a tough time getting Tevin to actually get on the same page. So I went with Nick.
I think also it was just really unlucky on Kevin's part that I happened to know people. So there were people like Tracy and Chrissy, Melissa, Ferry, who I knew I had votes that were not going to go on me already. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah. I feel like, Nick, your internet is one of the best comeback stories we've seen on Sequester, because basically, as soon as Tevin got eliminated, it was just fine for the rest of the game. So I don't know what happened in that 10-minute period to your internet, but it seemed to have repaired itself.
I don't know either.
So Tevin, I mean, obviously it wasn't it wasn't a long experience for you, but how did, do you think that you will play again? Because I mean, it really wasn't anything to do with your gameplay or anything about you whatsoever. It was just straight your internet. So do you think you're going to get that Ethernet cable, or how are we going to do it?
I actually, right as the vote was coming in, I was like, let me hook in my Ethernet cable. That was the last thing that really dawned on me. And when I hooked it in, I was like, why didn't I do this to start with? But yeah, I'm definitely going to be back. I'm definitely going to play again. Got into it a couple months ago, and then I was pushing Nehemiah to actually apply. And he was telling me, I've applied. Well, just go ahead, apply again. So when he got on last week, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and apply for the first time. So I went ahead and I applied, and I was actually shocked that I got on my first app. So I will definitely be back.
Good. That's what we want to hear. Yeah, it's always sad to see somebody not really get to play the game at all whatsoever by powers beyond their control. But I think you have a lot more potential in this game. So short, but not the end. Thank you for coming on today, Tevin.
Hey, not a problem.
All right. Talk to you
We
soon.
love you, Tevin.
All right. So let's move on to round 2. Majority rules, possibly the oddest majority rules question we've seen. What is Sequesterbot's favorite cologne scent? Y'all clearly don't know what cologne scents typically are. Haven't.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
please explain it to me, Chrissy.
This is all right. So my husband was born without a sense of smell. Like, it's really weird. Now some people can't hear, speak, whatever. He doesn't have that sense. So like cologne doesn't matter to him. Like, so for 5 years, like I haven't been buying cologne for anybody. So I got in a room and I was like, what are some scents? Like, and somebody said like plum.
Yes,
I was like, is that a scent for
I'm
a
like,
cologne?
what?
Was that Charles? Was that anybody in that? Nolan, you might have been there. Did somebody say plum?
No,
I was in
not
that
when we were
room. I don't remember who said
Were you
it,
there? Yeah, I was
but I
crying.
didn't think I was hearing it correctly. And then
And
when
I
I
went to
the end
realized
of the
I was
round.
hearing it correctly, I didn't understand.
Haley
And then I
were
went to
like,
another
"Can we
room,
get
they
the
said
spelling
air."
for that?" Air.
Yeah, I was like, spell air.
Air.
Yeah. The first room I was in was saying cherry, and I said, okay, cherry cologne.
I will be back.
And then
That
the next room I heard was saying air. Yeah, I was like, these are what the cologne.
So,
the-
gentlemen,
Oh,
what is
go ahead.
air? Like, what is air? What does it smell like?
Not a scent.
It's free as far as I know.
Oh, crying about it.
I was in a
Oh.
room.
Yeah.
I was in a room with Nikki, Nathan, and Bobkin, and we said bourbon at
Yeah.
first. And then we went out. And I luckily, before the round ended, like got in a room with Nikki, Kieran, Nathan, Pat, and Jay, who were all like cherry, like.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Yes.
okay. And
Right
then
go ahead.
I felt so lucky. I was like, oh my god, like right at the second, or else I would have done
Yeah.
bourbon.
Yeah, so right when I left our room after we had said bourbon, I went into a room, it was empty. I went into another room, it was empty.
That's
And
the
then I
worst.
got into your room at the last second. I'm talking like there was only a chance for someone to say one word, and Patrick said cherry. And I'm like, oh, is he lying? I don't know. Like, should I just say bourbon? But I was like, all right, no, I'm gonna trust it. I said cherry. Thanks, Louie.
No, they were gonna lie and say
That's right. Figured.
if we go somewhere else, we're
Who
gonna
came
say
up with
Ocean
cherry?
Breeze.
Yeah, who did come up with cherry?
Was
I
it
don't know.
David? Maybe. Like,
I
who
think
threw
Charles
cherry?
came up with air.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I mean, after last night or the night before, I was sure somebody was going to try to spread nothing. Which,
Yeah.
but nobody. I guess air is as close to nothing as you can get. I guess so.
Pretty much what
You know,
it is when it comes to cologne.
Yeah. I mean, cherry won out, which still a terrible answer, but probably the best answer of the bunch. So I'll be sure to search for some cherry cologne in the upcoming days.
Not leather.
Leather.
Not leather.
Leather was a
Who
good
could,
one.
why leather? I don't understand.
Leather was
And
a
there's
good
Yeah,
like
that
one.
one person
Right.
voted leather.
That was the decoy. One of the decoys I heard.
I was trying to do musky,
Musky. I was like, what is musky?
like a musky scent.
So after that, so the people who were on the block were Jared, Josh, Bobkin, Noah, Charles, Ferry, Tracy, Tom, Nolan, Nick, and Chrissy. So there were a lot of options of people who could be eliminated there. And this round ended in Cody's elimination. Really, the only names that I heard too much of were Cody, and there was a bit of Tracy because it came out that she had played before, which in reality, everybody had played before, but I mean, a large amount. But she was, spread for having done well in the International 2 game. How did everybody decide on voting Cody? How did this round go?
I voted for Bobkin, so I don't know.
Yeah, because I was
So
gonna
did
say
I.
I did hear a decent amount of Bodkin too.
Yeah, I was always
I
going
did
after
hear
him, man.
Bobkin.
Sorry, Louie.
I only briefly
Never.
heard Tracy. Yeah, I only briefly heard Tracy when I hopped in the room and Haley was saying that she was dangerous because someone had said she played before or something. But Bobkin had jumped in a room and said, "Hey, Nolan, nice to see another Canadian." And so at that point, I was like, "Well, I don't really want to go Bobkin." And so Cody was the room. It was the name in the first. Well, my first room included Cody. I hopped into a different one where Nick and David were in there saying Bobkin, or yeah, I think so. And then I was like, "No, I think I'd rather do Cody here."
Yeah, I rather would have done Cody too, so that's why I voted for him. And then when Haley told me about the Tracy thing, I was like, okay, I need to get Haley out sooner rather than later.
Oh no.
I
heard it from
Oh, go ahead.
Beth is who said it to me, because I didn't know that she had played before. And then I didn't realize that a bunch of other people had played before, and then I watched it back, and I was looking at the chat, and they were like, she's so dumb. She's telling people that have played before that someone else has played before. And I was
Someone
like,
told me, I was like, I know. What are we going to do about it? Like,
yeah.
We discussed it a little bit last night in terms of playing before and like what's the hierarchy. I feel like that there's, I mean, there's definitely a group of like Sequester players that if you see them, you're like, okay, they're like, in our world, kind of like Sequester legends that you're like, you've played before. But like below that, everybody's really played before, right? Like there's more people who have played one ice in a private mini than there are brand new people to Sequester.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of prioritizing and, because chances are also if you're looking to target people who've played before, there's probably 7 other people who have played before that you just don't know about because you're not watching every single private mini. Like I can't even do that. So, it's hard to really keep track of who is a quote unquote vet and who's not.
There's a difference between seeing like a one-person player who played a Patron in like June than seeing Susie on your screen, like literally.
Right.
You can't. It's not really comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in with this game. I went in with that mindset because when I played in 522, we targeted vets early, and then like we got slack for it because we're like, oh, we're targeting the vets back then. So that this time I didn't want to do that. I was like, because I'm now a vet coming into this game, so I'm like, I can't target those people. Like that was like a big thing in my mind. And also going in, my big thing was, oh, I can't. Sorry, lost train of thought. I need to remember, like the first 5 rounds for me, like the first half of the game, I wanted to focus on relationships. And the biggest piece of advice I got was not worry about who's going out. And I knew of Cody because we played the Broadway mini together. So I was like, the Cody's the name I'm hearing. Like I wanted to work with him because of the Broadway mini, but like, at that point, I couldn't fight. Like I just had to, for my game, vote him out. So I'm sorry, Cody.
I liked it like this, with this being the patron and not knowing. I don't know how y'all felt. Not that like, I mean, I've only played twice, but like coming in and just seeing the videos and see people pop up, and I like, had met Melissa a week before at like an OR game, and like I had recognized Mickey, and I was like, oh yeah. Like it was kind of cool instead of having to stress beforehand about who I was going to work with. Obviously I was excited when I saw Nick, but like, I just like it better like this. It's more pure. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something that feels better about like like the unknown, like whereas with like a private mini, the cast is like released like 2 weeks before. People kind of get a chance to build relationships, but with this, it's like a fresh start, and it's kind of like refreshing.
Yeah, for me, I played in the Disney Mini where like I knew the cast like 2 weeks beforehand. So I was like, okay, I need to like watch these people's minis and like get in on like what the connections are. And that was a big part of my game in the Disney Mini, was being like, you know, these two people have a connection. We need to split them up immediately. And I was gunning for them hard, and that was kind of part of my downfall a few rounds into the game. So this time I was like, okay, I don't really know how I'm gonna play this. And then I got in and I was able to figure it out. So I kind of like that.
So after round 2, it brought us to the safety roulette round. It ended up being room 5 being nominated, which was Nikki, Kieran, Jay, Tom, and Noah. And this ended in Jay's elimination. It seemed Jay of Fratquester fame, which I didn't realize till later on, but part of the Johnny Stockton monstrosity that was
Wednesday night
Fratquester.
one?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah, we love good Fratquester representation on Patron Minis now. They're all there. I'm sure we're going to see all of them at some point because they're all obsessed. But this ended. I feel like this was either going to be Jay or Kieran most of the time. I got very afraid that Kieran, you were going to get booted early.
Yeah, me too. I was like so ready to be like adding 4-time pre-jury flop to my Twitter bio.
It was close because you left the room first, and we were like, "Should we all just go push Kieran?" And they were like, "Yep." And then we bounced after that. But the narrative changed when people were like, "I went to Chrissy." She's like, "I don't really want to do Kieran." I was like, "Okay, I'll do anyone else but me."
Yeah, and then at some point, Jay and we were just like, okay, we're gonna team up and go to rooms together and be like, we're pushing Tom. And so that's what we tried to do. It didn't end up happening. I threw my vote to Tom, and I was so ready. I was like, all right, I'm going out. And then it was like, Jay, you are. I was like, what? And it was a lot.
Yeah. So my first room that I was in was saying, like, I haven't really talked to Jay, maybe not Kieran either. So I think Jay was kind of what was stemming from that room. And so then there was room limit right away. I bounced, heard Kieran's name, heard Tom's in one room. And then I bounced into a room where it was Melissa and Nick. And then Kieran and Jay ended up there at some point. And they were kind of saying Tom. And I didn't really want to go Tom because Tom was in my first room. And I thought, well, if I was going to protect anybody, it should be Tom. And so then Nick, I thought, did a really good thing where I don't think he wanted Tom to go either, but Kieran and Jay were sitting there and he said, why don't you two bounce together and go push Tom and get out of here? And the second that they left the room, I said to Nick, look, I'm inclined to save Tom here. And he was already on that page trying to get Melissa to do so before I'd come in. And so then me and Nick just talked to Melissa together and said, we're saving Tom anyways. People had come in and started pushing Kieran again. And then David came in last second and said, I don't really know if we want to boot the kid with a disability this early. And I thought, well, I'm down to just throw a vote on Jay. So that's where my vote ended up going. And then he left that one.
Yeah, that was brought up. So actually, David brought that up because David was someone who had kind of pushed that narrative to save Kieran and was very vocal about saving Kieran. Yes. And it kind of got brought up about, bringing up the disability. And I wanted to ask you, Kieran, how you felt about that.
So, I mean, I can't be too mad about it because he saved me, right? But at the same time, like, there's a point to where, like, this is part of the reason why in those first couple games that I played, I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to feel like I was using it as a card. And I feel like this is going to be brought up later when we're going to talk about towards the end game with the whole Charles saying, like, I could have used the black card and I didn't. But, like, I mean, like, I can't be too mad about it, but at the same time, it's like, this is kind of one of the things that I didn't want to happen is people saying, oh, we don't want to boot the kid with the disability too early. But, I made it to Final Six. I can't really complain too much.
Yeah, so I was talking to this about other people, about, like, playing that card, right? And I think when you have that card, you struggle a lot with, you want to use that card because you know that representation matters, but you also don't want to use the card because you don't want to be reduced to just that aspect of yourself, and you keep towing that line.
Yeah.
And it's not like you brought it up in your intro video, but it was like not in like that type of way. It was just like a fun intro video, and it's not like you brought it up as a strategy to save yourself in that round. It's other people who push that narrative, not you.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking along those lines. It was more like I hadn't seen you and I kind of wanted to, like I didn't, like same with others in the game. Nikki, no, I'm looking down, like people I hardly saw. Like I wanted to see you and talk to you and I hadn't yet. And also like you're young and I'm a teacher and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm at the youth.
Yeah. I know, Kieran, you had written that. You had written that, I guess this was probably about a month ago. I forget what it was, on Facebook or Twitter, about kind of like your Sequester journey and your Sequester story and how you had taken a break for a while and came back. And that's why you came back for the Disney Mini, but I was excited to see you play another Patron Mini and actually thrive this time. Because obviously our first Mini we played together, which was random. But yeah, it was cool to see you back and actually get to play the actual game this time, which you never really got the chance to before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm really glad.
Yeah, for sure. So after the J elimination, that brought us to round 4, which brought us to the currency twist, which now seems to be a staple over the last 2 days. And Kieran, you actually ended up getting closest to 21 with 19. I did have a question here because it seemed like other people were going to hit 21 right on the nose, and then they didn't, and Kieran got it with 19. Nolan, you were supposed to have it, right? Like you were supposed to have 4. And also I think Tom was supposed to have it as well. And neither one of you did. Do you have any idea as to where that went awry?
I wish I could tell you because ultimately that's the downfall, right? I was in a room with Bobkin and Ferry and Tracy and who else was there? David. And yeah, we were all kind of like immediately recognized that if we all throw 4 on one person, that's 20. Odds are you're going to be good. So either one of them betrayed me and didn't throw all 5 on me, or somebody threw 2 or 3 on me to push me over, which I think is probably more likely because there's not really any incentive for any of them to flip on me. There's 0 chance I was nominating the people in my room if I was safe. So I have to think that I was pushed over, which was pretty frustrating, obviously. And hearing that Kieran, who I would have loved to have talked to more, but had not had a great chance to track down, was going to be the one nominating. I was pretty sure as soon as that happened that I was going to be on the block and fighting for that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, okay, so here's what happened. So I was in a room with, I think it was Beth and Jared, and I don't quite remember who the third person was.
And then
Haley. It was you. Okay. And Haley, right? And we decided that I wanted it because, of course, I felt like my name was going around a lot. And my mind was actually kind of already in this headspace because earlier in the day I played a competition in a long-term org that was basically the exact same idea. And so I was like, all right, can I have it? And they were on board with it. And so I was able to get 19 from those 4 or 5 people.
My headspace was like, Kieran's name was just out there and he wants revenge right now. So let's make sure he gets it and doesn't nominate anyone in the room so we're all safe, but he can still feel like it was like a group decision. I was like trying to push it on Kieran hard for that.
And
I think anyone who was in a room, I think you always just wanted to give coins to people in your room because then you were for sure safe.
Yeah.
We decided on someone outside our room. Melissa, I think you were with me when we wanted to give the coins to David.
Yes.
Were you with me?
Yes, we did say David.
And I think we liked him, but I was starting to get the sense, I have my notes here, like I was starting to get the sense that he was a player, like he was really playing, but I wanted to be on his side too. So I was like, I gave him all 5 of my coins. I don't know what happened, but we were kind of, I think it was maybe Ferry, somebody in there, one of the guys, maybe Nathan, one of the guys convinced me. Nathan, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was. Yeah.
I missed you when you left, Nathan. You were good. You were a good time, but they were like, it's too much of a responsibility to point it on somebody who we're trying to work with.
Yeah, I remember that room being like, it's too much. Like we were like, ooh, we don't know who to throw it on because it's so much responsibility, and we didn't want to throw it on one of us in that room. That we didn't want that power. I ended up like splitting my coins because someone told me Beth, and I was like, okay, like I forgot who said Beth. Sorry guys, I didn't take that note down. So I threw like 2 to Beth, and then like someone said Fairy, and I just threw the other 3 on Fairy because like I just didn't feel comfortable. Like Chrissy said, I didn't feel like good about giving it to David because I wanted to be on his side, but like I was starting to get that feeling as well because he was playing really hard, and I commend him for that. But I was getting scared.
Yeah, it was like will I, won't I with David. But I gave him all the coins.
So after Kieran ended up getting 19 and winning that, he nominated first Cody. Cody was unfortunately not an option to nominate because he had just been voted out.
That was so funny.
That was so funny.
Sometimes your mind is all over the place and your subconscious is being like, you know what, let's eliminate him again. I don't know. So for my basically I ended up being like, oh God, I have to nominate people now. And even like while the points were being tallied, I was looking over and I'm like, oh my God, who do I nominate who isn't in my room? Because a lot of the thing is like I didn't have like 5 people that I was like, okay, we got to get these people out. So a lot of it was just like trying to come up with reasons. And I think for me, what really helped my game moving forward after I had to kind of put 5 people in jeopardy is going into everybody and making genuine like apologies and reconnecting and rebuilding that bridge, because I did genuinely feel bad because I didn't have a ton of reason to put a lot of these people up.
Yeah, it's a tough position to be in. I don't know if I would ever, because it's still so early in the game, and just singling out, essentially 6 people who are going to remain in the game seems in a lot of cases like a death sentence. But I mean, you managed to avoid it for quite, to still go far in the game despite it. But the nominees ended up being Patrick, Tom, Chrissy, Nolan, Nick, and Ferry. And this was the round where Nolan went home. It seemed like it was mostly back and forth between Nolan and Tom. How did we end up deciding on Nolan?
Well, I was called out as a threat when I was nominated, right? So I don't think that helped too much. I don't really know where we got the impression I was going to be a threat, but my room.
Frankly, I don't quite remember where I got that impression, because I feel like that round, a lot of it was just kind of a blur. But I think I kind of pegged you as this social strategic threat based on how much you were moving around and doing all that.
I personally wasn't going to vote out Tom because I had a thing with him. So I was like, I wasn't going to betray that. So I just heard your name and I just like spread it on.
Yeah, I wasn't going to vote for Tom either because when I saw him in my room, his background looked so familiar that I was thinking had he played before, and I didn't want to vote him out. And he was also a good shield as someone whose name was also out earlier. And then I thought Kieran was targeting me because he said, I'm putting up Nick, your name has been out a lot. And then the moment Kieran put all the people up, I tried to find Kieran to say, now you're a threat, now we have to work together coming the rounds.
Yeah, and that was a good move on your part, I think.
At that point, y'all saw me vote out every person. It was hard, every freaking person. But that was the first one that was tricky because they were both in my starting room. I felt good with both of them. But at that point, I had made a connection with, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I just got like oddly quiet. Maybe the vacuum turned off or whatever. At that point, I had established a connection with Charles, and I think Charles was working with Tom too. Like, I feel like he was trying to bring him in. So I didn't want to mess that up.
Yeah, so, Tom was tough to campaign against. I watched back, and one time he leaves the room, and Haley and David are there, and David's going, I don't really want to vote Nolan because Nolan was just here. Feel good about Nolan, and then Tom pops right back in and goes, well, if you're not voting Nolan, who are you voting? And at that point, I think he was clocked, and yeah, I could have had an easier person to campaign against Tom. Tom was quite the campaigner. It was pretty much dead on arrival at that point.
Yeah, Tom played a very good. Tom played a very good game being a target in those early rounds, and like it's hard when your name is out there early to successfully campaign and manage to avoid getting eliminated every single round. And he did a really, really good job considering he got all to the point and was never actually voted out, was ended up being dragged. So he'll be on in a bit and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Do we have
Chrissy,
to break? I was going to ask about. Is there a breakdown of that vote, or do we have to commit votes to somebody to make a breakdown?
Yeah, we don't get the voting charts anymore, unfortunately. We got them for a few weeks, but yeah, it's a lot of work. So we haven't gotten them, so we don't know. That's what this is for. We have to figure it out and put it together ourselves.
Yeah, we can file our own voting chart if we really wanted to.
Yeah. Nolan, what did you think overall of your playing experience? Do you think that you will play again at any point?
I hope to play again. Like I said, I've been a fan of Sequester for a long, long time. And so getting to play, I was in the Okanda Mini on Monday, but I was the first boot, so I didn't really count that as playing. I know Chrissy, when I left the room, said she thought she saw me play before. I highly doubt that. But I think you probably will see me play again if I have anything to say about that. I thought I got in. I got my feet wet. I got to talk to a lot of people this time, which was great because meeting new people, and obviously everybody in these games are always so great. And it was quite the cast to kick off season 3. So I was happy to get in there, happy to be able to play a little bit and meet some people. And I had a ton of fun. Just wish I could have made it a little bit further and not be a pre-jury flop. But we're going to keep improving anyways.
Yeah. We always like to see, I forgot that you put that in your video. We always like to see people who have watched since the beginning, since way before I watched, to actually go on and play a game. So that was good to see. So we hope to see you back again.
Hope we do that.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. So that brought us to round 5, which was the first double elimination. This was a chaotic one. I didn't know how I felt about this one. So this was the most votes and the least votes, starting with 1, will be eliminated, which, I mean, to me, the thing was, it was so clear that regardless, the least amount of votes was going to be a tie. Like, there was no way to avoid that being a tie. And then it was just, if you're still looking for least votes, you basically have to pile on somebody, which made it super complicated. But with this, the highest votes, sadly, went to Noah. And then the lowest amount of votes resulted in a tie between Josh, Pat, Beth, Bobkin, Ferry, Tracy, and Charles, and resulted in Nathan's elimination. So how did we get there, and how did you all maneuver this vote?
Okay, so first of all, I think it was Nick, Beth, and I agreed to put our votes on each other to make it so that we each had at least 1 vote. And so I ended up voting for Nick in the first part of the round. And then for the revote, Tracy came up to me first and asked me to vote for her. And so there were a lot of other ideas being floated around to me, but I ended up voting for Tracy in that second round just because I was like, okay, she came to me first. And I don't have any super, super strong loyalties that would sway me otherwise.
Yeah. So I feel like at the start of the round, I went to 2 rooms and everyone's like, let's put all our votes on Tom. Let's all do Tom. And then I feel like people thought, oh, people are voting Tom and I want to throw my vote. Let's throw it on Noah. And then I feel like other people already talked about throwing their votes on me. So I feel like the votes just piled up on me and it was really unlucky.
Yeah.
I feel like Tom was a decoy name on multiple occasions, and that being one of them. And I wasn't sure what I was doing. I think in the last room I got in, somebody said Noah.
So I misplayed this round, actually, because I didn't realize that if it's lowest vote, then the lowest vote is 1. I thought the lowest vote would be 0, which is why I took Kieran, Beth, and I to vote one on each other. So when Beth was nominated, was on the flop, I was like, oh shit, is she gonna come after me now? I guess she didn't, so it was fine. And then I assumed people were going to vote for me anyway, so I was going to be safe.
Yeah, it was an interesting round for sure. I think I honestly didn't think, Noah, that you would be the one going. It seemed to me like there were one or two people who would have more votes than you, and it kind of just swung on you there at the end.
Yeah, I got jumped on.
Yeah,
Which
it
is all.
It didn't seem. I think the problem was I don't think you realized how in danger you were. And
No.
I think, for example, Tom did understand how much in danger he was and was like actively moving as fast as he possibly could and managed to kind of switch the vote.
Yeah.
How many of y'all voted Noah there? No, I voted for Jared. Hey, Tom.
Oh my God. Tom, did you vote for me that round?
Hey, Tom.
Noah?
Yeah.
Let me. I don't have my notes with me, unfortunately. I don't. Well, who was in that round?
Together, baby.
The majority.
Oh no, I voted Kieran. I hardcore voted Kieran.
Oh my goodness.
Kieran, the second you put on the block and you gave such strong reasons for doing it, and I think that's what stuck with me is you were so like, these people either had bad videos or were good players. I was like, let her out because I really just didn't like that. So yes, I advocated against Kieran. I think the entire game almost as much as I advocated against Tracy and David.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay.
Like I don't even we don't even know how much majority was.
So,
It literally could have been 4. Like which sucks, but
because I think Bobkin or one of them voted Jared with me, and I was
Bobkin
like,
voted Jared.
Yeah, I was like, why don't I see his name on there? And the mod was like, somebody else did it because I don't know. I thought we were gonna save you, but we tried.
I think if I understood that I was actually in more trouble than I actually was, I probably would have maneuvered around. I was too in my head. I was too comfortable because both times I played, I made it past Jerry. I was like, okay, I think I can make it to Jerry. And then I think I just got ahead of myself and people just threw my name out just cause, but I'm not mad about it.
And Nathan, for you, do you think, I mean, I feel like it's almost impossible to maneuver, but what do you think, is there anything you think you could have done there to stay in the game and to improve your chances?
Well, I mean, I had a conflict of interest because I was planning on like self-voting for myself because I figured even if it went to a tie, it was going to tie again and the wheel was inevitable. I just figured that someone else, because I don't think my name had really gone around at all. Like someone's just going to like throw a vote onto me. And so if I had self-voted, then it would have made me like not tie and it would have been a mess anyways. And so, I mean, I threw my vote to Bobkin because I figured that regardless, Tom was going to get the most amount of votes. Because I hopped around, it's just like Tom, and then I settled it in a room with like Melissa, I believe. And like Tom came in and he's just like, keep me. I'm like, I'll keep you. Like, that's fine. So I kept Tom because I figured he's just going to go and I'll just throw my vote on someone else. And it turns out he didn't get the majority and it was Noah. And I was like, what the hell? But I mean, the wheel, I don't know. It was a mess.
Yeah, it was.
We hate the wheel.
I was sorry to see you go. I was wanting to work with you.
Yeah, I wanted to work with you so badly, and I feel like you were positioned really well to make it fun.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Like the worst part was like in the stream, like I heard the clicking of the wheel, and it must have been delayed or something because I heard the clicking, and it was like, and I kept, I don't know, but it seemed like it was gonna go past my name. Like, oh, awesome, this is great. And then like it, like I was like, oh, this is awful. Whatever. But
I'd like to point out that Audrey misspelled my name on the wheel both times. So if it had landed on me, I would have had a case to be like, that's not me. But you know,
we would have loved to see that.
She would have been there for that.
So that was the end for Noah and Nathan, which was sad to see. I was hoping you both would do well. Nathan, you especially after the week in the 5-8, 6-19 thing. But
let's not talk about it. Let's not.
For you first, Noah, I know it'd been a while since you played a Patron game, but
my first one was
since Kim Matina.
Yeah, Kim Matina, and I got bashed hard for my game that first time, but I was really trying to come in and redeem myself, and I feel like I somewhat did that, but I still have more to offer. I feel like I can't hold my own. It's just those unlucky rounds that get you out of nowhere, but I'm not mad about it, and I'll be back.
Yeah, you went pretty far in Christmas versus Night of the Living Dead, right?
Yeah, I got 8th now, so my placements have like cut in half each time. So I went from 4th to 8th, and now it's like 17th. Not the best.
Going backwards.
Yeah, now let's just get farther than 4th. That's the next goal.
Absolutely. And then for you, Nathan, what did you think overall?
I mean, I really enjoyed this game. I mean, obviously didn't go as far as I did in 619, but I feel like the experience I had, like I definitely feel like I played a little bit stronger because in 619 it was obviously my first game and I was terrified. I'm like, what do I do? Like I'm so like nervous. But I definitely had a lot of fun. I mean, getting dragged out in 619 and then being wheeled out in this game, it was poetic justice, really. I mean, it was inevitable. But I mean, I had a lot of fun. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having
Bye,
us.
gentlemen. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Congrats, Chrissy and Nick, once again.
Thank you, Noah.
All right, so that brought us to round 6, which was a very early tether twist. That's another. I'm still trying to get my head around a tether twist this early in the game because I feel like it's so difficult to like, A, find your partner, first off, because there's so many people there, but B, also try to maneuver and try to control any votes because there's so many factors you have to take into account when there's so many different pairs and there's really no way of deciphering who all the pairs are. But this one pretty quickly fell on Patrick. There was some talk of David, but really Charles pushed this vote, I felt like Charles kind of controlled the vote going on Patrick and really put 3 or 4 pairs himself straight on to Patrick. How did you all maneuver this round?
Is Patrick going to come here?
No, I don't think Patrick's.
I brought a hat. I brought a hat for him. We're from the same hometown. I didn't want to like make it pretty public, but yeah, that's cool. I was trying to get David. So Melissa and I were trying to get David. I don't know.
Chrissy and I got lucky that
we
were tethered that round and we were in the same room, so it wasn't hard for me to find her. I was like, oh, good, I have Chrissy. Like, and we just kind of.
Tracy in there with Kieran, or who was there? Was another
pair.
Yeah,
it was me and Tracy, and my round was spent like bouncing from room to room frantically trying to find her. And luckily I found her in like the last 30 seconds of the round, and we were able to be like, okay, it's Patrick, cool. But it was a lot, and
you didn't go David. You went Patrick.
Wait, yeah, I did go Patrick.
Go to Patrick. Okay.
I know for me, my partner was Josh, and we found each other pretty quickly. But then Jay popped in after Patrick hopped in after we said his name, and I was like, I'm just gonna go with what we said. And then I moved room, and Josh moved rooms, and then Patrick moved rooms, all to the same room again. I was like, and then right before the thing, I was like, Patrick, and I was just really hoping he was going to go at that point because I took a big leap by being like, yeah, I'm still going to vote Patrick, Josh, so please do that, even though he's right here.
Yeah,
crazy.
For me, I was really scared of going this round because I've been up for elimination pretty often before that. So for the first half of the round, I decided, okay, I'm just going to stay and wait for pairs to form in the room that I'm in so I can make sure that those pairs weren't saying my name and then bounce around trying to find Jared at the end, which I couldn't find. But then, yeah, I don't think but I knew Patrick was going, so that was fine by me.
This round was so stressful. I couldn't find Nick, and I found Ferry at the very end, and I'm like, you saw Nick last. Did you tell him a name? And he said Patrick, so I just voted Patrick. I didn't know what to do.
So as we moved on, after Patrick was eliminated, it brought us to the highest even number votes. And this was the round that sadly brought Melissa's game to a close. I actually thought you might survive this one. I thought you had a chance because there was basically, there were 8 on David. And I knew that was risky because obviously 8 is a lot, and you push 1 over or 1 under and you're, kind of ruins the whole thing. Now at the last moment, Josh played a really good game, and Josh is going to try to stop on. I want to comment on his game because I felt like he played very, very strong. But he realized it was too many, and at the last minute tried to remove 2 and put 2 on another person, which I feel like maybe messed up. We still don't know what the vote total was and if David went over or under. But at the last minute, he tried to take Hopkin off to put 2 on someone else, so it was only 6 on David.
I heard the vote ended up being 9 on David and then 4 on me. That's what happened. but I think I don't know if David self-voted to like that he heard his name out to tip that over, so then I would get it. I'm curious to find out what happened.
Is he coming?
Yeah, he's
So-
here. I just sent him the link, so he should be here any second.
I didn't hear your name at all, Melissa.
Okay.
I didn't
I
hear
wanna
your
talk
name
to
at all,
David.
Melissa, but I didn't hear anybody's name.
We all talked to.
So I threw my vote on you because I didn't think anyone else would, and then you got eliminated, and I felt so bad.
So basically what happened is I was in a room with three other people. I know David was one of them, and I think Beth was another one. And they were like, okay, who do you think won't get any other votes? And I was like, no one said Melissa's name. And so we just locked on Melissa. And we had 4 and we did not tell anybody else that we had it. So that's what happened with that.
Yeah, we locked it down. The 4 votes, did not say a single word to anybody else the whole round. I didn't feel great about voting Melissa, but I knew it was kind of a sure thing, and I've seen 4 votes win this round a lot, so I just stuck with it. I had no idea my name was out there. 0.
Really?
Nobody said a word to me.
Wow.
David was the only name I heard.
That's what it came for you, baby.
Well, you all kept it locked up well, so.
Well, that's the issue. I mean, I feel like if you're going in this round, it's so important to vote for someone who you don't expect to get the votes. Because if you throw your votes on someone who's already had some traction, you're likely to get a rogue vote and another vote thrown on it to throw off the plan. And it seems that's what happened here if you did end up getting 9 votes and it sent Melissa home.
Yeah, and I'm glad I didn't know because I probably would have self-voted and got a 10th vote. So that would have sucked.
That may have been, if that happened, it may have been the record for evens and odds. If you went home with 10 votes in the odd round.
But also one thing I kept saying early on, like, I don't want to vote out any of the girls. But it kept going, and it was just guy after guy after guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe it's time a girl goes. I didn't know it would kind of start like a snowball effect with so many of you, but I thought it was a good time. Sorry, Melissa.
It's okay. It's all good.
Melissa, what were your thoughts overall on the game? I mean, I'm sure we'll see you again, but do you have any plans to play soon, or what do you think?
Oh, you'll see me Thursday in the 522 redo game.
Yes,
I knew that it was a leading question. Really, I knew where we were going there. I just wanted to get that plug in.
Yeah, that plug. Watch 522 redo. Personally, I felt like this was my best social game. I feel like I've developed so much learning from my other games, but I always go in to these games with it's all fun and games, and I love meeting people like in this community. Like that's what I come in to strive for. Yes, it's fun to like get the win, and I always wanted to get my hand into social strategy games because that's what I watched all of my life, and I don't have people in my real life to talk about it. So being a part of this community means a lot, and I always come with a fun attitude, and I never take anything personally. So like I said in my Facebook post, my placement doesn't define my worth. So I'm just happy to meet all of you guys, and good game. Like you guys got me out, and I'm super impressed. Like, but I just felt really good about this game, and I'm excited for Thursday.
There we go. We're excited to watch it. Thank you for coming on.
Melissa.
Thank you guys.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, Melissa.
Okay, so this brought us to round 8, which was the better explained bomb round. This did not take long. So it was Ferry and my personal favorite new quote, Bombkin, with the bombs. And then room 1 guessed Ferry on the very first guess. So there was really not much of a game. Immediately, the nominees were Tracy, Tom, Chrissy, Josh, Bobkin, Kieran, and Haley. And this was the round that Haley was eliminated. Haley, we discussed this a little bit already, but you left a room first. And that was basically it.
I know. I'll never do it again. I swear. In my life, any room ever.
Always make sure somebody goes before you.
It also was like we were room limited
Yeah.
too, though, so it was like hard. But she did fast.
Yeah, so we couldn't talk. As soon as we were able to talk, they were like, 2 people need to leave right now. Leave now.
Because if you had,
and I was like, okay. And I said at the end, I was like, good luck,
and if
guys.
you had stayed in there, we probably would have worked together to get one of the guys.
So prior to this round, or the round before, I found Tracy in a room alone, and I started telling her that she needed to target Haley because Haley was like spreading that Tracy was playing before. Sorry, Haley.
In the other room where
we were gonna target Tracy.
I thought the person.
And Josh came in and was like, "It's Haley," and just like everyone just switched to Haley. So
That's basically what happened. Yeah, I was kind of sad to see Haley go because I wanted to work with you like towards the end because I feel like we're of similar age, so I feel like it'd be a fun final two to have.
Yeah, I would say
I'm really excited because I wrote.
Sorry. Haley was my
next to
favorite
Haley's name, I just
because,
put I am
she's
scared.
from Missouri.
What'd you
Both from
write?
Missouri, so I really wanted her to stay, but I just saw the votes were going her way, and I knew there was nothing I could do.
same.
Yeah, I was trying to keep Haley, but everywhere I went, they were like, Haley, she's too nice and she's quiet and she's gonna make it. I'm like, no, not Haley. And I had heard Tracy quite a bit, so I was like, no, Tracy. So I just voted for Tracy, just like fingers crossed, because I was
voted
terrified
Tracy.
more of Tracy than Haley. Plus,
Yeah.
I started a room with Haley and Bobkin and Kieran, and I'm as loyal as I am stupid and fat. So I agreed first room out, and I was sticking to it. Just like obesity, I did it.
No, when I watched it back, it sounded like a lot of people said that I was quiet and seemed low-key, but I went in with like trying to have a low-key nice personality because in my real life, I come off kind of aggressively, I've been told. So I was like, I have to like chill and just be a nice person and just kind of stay under the radar, and then that's what hurt me. So we'll come guns a-blazing next game.
And so much of it is situational too, Haley. Like that might have worked in a certain game, certain situation. Like there's so much luck and situational.
I felt that Nikki was a lot like Haley in the just staying calm and sweet with everybody, and I think that's a lot of the problems. Like one of those people had to go, and I was like, oh great, like one of the super quiet nice ones is about to bail and there's nothing I can do. I was gunning for Tracy because her personality very much was I'm gonna take control, and when you come in with bold pink hair, I'm threatened.
And this was another one because the only other name that was really out there was Tom, and Charles did a really good job of kind of saving Tom. And we need to discuss that a little bit because I feel like that was one of the main storylines of the beginning of the game was there were a lot of, well, 3 of you from the Drag Mini in this game. And one of the best moments was when you got into the room together and saw each other for the first time. I wanted to kind of discuss, Charles will hopefully be here later, but like what was your like experience when you first saw the videos and saw that you would be playing together, and kind of your thoughts? Must have automatically knew you were going to stick together, right?
Yeah, and I think for Beth and I especially, I know in our first game we were final 2 in that first game too. Like we wanted it so badly, and so when I saw Beth, like this, and I love Beth. Like within the last week, I feel like Beth has become one of my closest friends. So I'm just going to say that. So to be able to go in and know I can trust her, and also with SB because I was loyal to SB in the original game, and so I knew that these were 2 people that had no prior qualms with me, and that the 3 of us we wanted the 3 of us to make it far to represent for our mini, because we were drag queens and we did our best. Beth.
Oh, it was the same thing. I had Tom's back. As soon as I saw Tom's video, I was like, this is a no-brainer for me. Just because I played with Tom last time and stuck by me. So it was a no-brainer. Even so, anytime I heard his name, I was like, deflect. And then Charles, I actually voted him out during the drag mini, and I'm telling you, we got 9 days. We got our asses handed to us about our decision for that. And I was afraid Charles was going to come for me because I voted for him, but he didn't. But I also felt like I owed him too, and I have so much respect for Charles because his game was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think with Charles, Beth, and Tom, a lot of different groups of people wanted to work with each of them, and that allowed them to have a stronghold on keeping Tom safe for the pre-jury.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out there that I kind of
not
felt
even
like
safe without this too.
I felt like I was the unofficial fourth member of this drag alliance, but I thought that it was just 3 of us in the alliance. So I actually recruited 3 people for the drag mini: Charlie, who couldn't participate, Busted, and Taylor Madison Monroe. So I was super connected with that group. And when I saw Charles and when I saw Beth, I'm like, yes, I am working with them. I want them to get justice. I want them to make it to the end. I had no idea that Tom was your neighbor Susan the whole time. So if I had known that, that would have changed everything, because I loved your neighbor Susan. And we've talked this out a bit, but I totally would have worked with you if I had known that. And apparently their drag Facebook chat was rooting for the 4 of us to all work together. So Beth and Charles said something to me.
I didn't know who you were until like after. I was like, oh, okay. But I was never after you, so I was worried at one point because I have it in my notes here. I figured out that Chrissy and Melissa, I think, Melissa were kind of working with you, but then they took you out, I think. No, you took Melissa out, and I was like, I don't know what's happening now.
I wasn't really working with Melissa ever, so I'm not sure.
I thought for sure I had that figured out, but here we are again. I'm dumb as shit.
So
Beth, I love you. Are you drinking beer with a straw right now? I freaking
I
love
don't
you.
want to mess up my lips.
I freaking love you. Go ahead, sorry.
So Haley, what was your experience playing your first mini? Are you planning on coming back anytime soon?
Yeah, definitely. I had so much fun, and everyone in this cast was super awesome and super fun to play with. So yeah, I definitely want to play again soon, and I hope that I get to play with some of you guys again.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Bye, Haley.
Bye.
Nice job.
Bye.
All right, so round 9 was History Cannot Repeat. And if you vote for the person eliminated, you are up for nomination the next round. And this was the round that ended with Nikki's elimination. This was another one. It seemed like Josh was very strongly pushing Nikki. Nikki was very strongly pushing Josh. And it was just a question of who was going to throw their votes and who wouldn't. And it ended up being Nikki's elimination. So who actually voted for who in this round, and how did we end up with the result?
So I ended up voting for Nikki, and she was the only name I heard this round. And up until this point, no one had mentioned me or told me my name was around. So I really thought I was just going to go out this round. Later on, I found out I was voted on in the partner round. And I guess the highest lowest vote now. So I don't think I should have worried as much, but I hadn't heard any other names, and that really screwed me in the end.
I voted for Nikki. I think I hadn't voted for Nikki. There weren't a ton of people I hadn't voted for, and it seemed like Nikki was getting pushed out a lot, so.
Yeah. At this point, my biggest targets were Josh and Tom. I had already voted for both of them. I threw my vote on Josh in the double elimination. So Nikki was the only other name I was really hearing. So unfortunately, I voted for Nikki, even though I didn't want her to go.
I will say that Josh was my beginning pair, And so I kind of didn't want to have to vote him out just yet. So that's kind of why I decided on Nikki, partially.
I was just happy that it was history can't repeat.
What'd you say?
I was just so happy that
I
it was
could not
history
vote for
can't
Nikki.
repeat. Oh, sorry.
You're good. This is confusing.
Wait, who's talking? Tom.
I wasn't going to vote for Nikki. I wasn't going to vote for Nikki because early on in the game, we were the only two with these very visible headbands. I'm not wearing mine right now. And we kind of made a little alliance just based on the headbands. And so we were in a room with like Tracy. I don't know who the other two were, but I, at the last second, says, I think I'm just going to vote for myself. And then like voted for Tracy instead. So that's what I did. But yeah, I did not want to vote for Nikki.
I threw a vote on Nick here. I knew you were not gonna go. I couldn't do a girl again. Like you know about the last game.
Wait.
I was not voting a girl 3 times in a row. What's up,
So,
Barry?
Chrissy, I forgot, but I actually voted for
You threw a vote on
Stacey.
me. I know, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
So,
where'd you do
because
it?
when they said history can't repeat itself, I was just so fucking happy. I was so happy that it was history can't repeat itself. Nobody could vote for me, or most people couldn't vote for me. And then I voted for Nikki because this was something I kept doing in the game, which was that I would tell people I really wanted to work with them, and then hope that they don't say my name in the next round, and then cut them the round after. I did it to David, to Jared, to Nikki, to Kieran, to Beth.
No, I remember that. I'm like, I'm Nick and Fairy now. I'm gonna be good.
Yeah. This round is also the round where I walked in on Tracy and Fairy making a final 2.
Yes, that happened.
I mean, I was practically making final 2s with everyone.
That's fair.
Yeah, and that's something we should comment on, because along with the Drag Alliance, there was also that other alliance of the people who were in International, Ferry, Tracy, and I feel like, Nick, you were kind of on the outskirts of that as well. What was kind of the same question there? What were your opinions when you all saw each other, and were you planning on sticking together to the end?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring Ferry to final 2. And that was my main goal, for Ferry and I to be in final 2. And when I saw Josh, Tracy and I played in this like random Zoom game, but I totally forgot who Josh was, so I didn't realize who Josh was the entire time until he called the alliance out at final 8. Because Tracy told me earlier in the game to keep him safe, so I just assumed it was someone that I have maybe met once, or someone who was from International too, but I had no recollection of him until later in the game.
Yeah, I guess on my end, well, obviously I played with Tracy and we were in the starting room together, and I was just so shocked, and I was just trying to hold it in. Nick, yes, we've been in a couple of Zoom calls after his 7-16 game. So, I mean, even though like I haven't spoken with Nick a lot during the game, I just had that connection with him, and I didn't know that Nick and Tracy actually had a connection too. So I guess that worked pretty well.
So, Nikki, for you, how was the game overall, having played it for the second time, right? This is the second time?
Yeah, second time.
Yeah, second time.
Yeah, no. I really enjoyed it. I feel like compared to my last game, this time around, my name really wasn't coming out a lot in the early rounds. Well, last time I played in the second round, it was out, and it was just kind of a battle from there. But as the game went on, I was worried about this history can't repeat round coming up, because I knew that it started coming up before jury. And as soon as she said it, I knew that I had to kind of pick someone and push it fast, because my name could definitely easily be one of the targets, which it ended up being. But I feel like Josh, it wasn't getting much traction. But like halfway through the round, I was like, it doesn't seem like people are really jumping on board with this, but it's too late to change it. So I just kept pushing it, but unfortunately didn't get enough. But no, I had a really good time. Awesome cast. I loved meeting everybody. And yeah.
All right. Are you going to play anytime soon, you think?
I'm playing a private mini in October, so not for a while, but
oh yeah,
come
you can't say it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, Nikki.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, so on to round 10. So the nominations for the people who voted for Nikki were Tracy, Jared, Josh, Kieran, and Beth. And this was the round that Jared was eliminated. How did we get to the Jared elimination here? This was a very quick round. I feel like this was the quickest round of the game.
Did I push that? Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. I think I might have.
This round was so quick that I just completely forgot to take notes for it. I don't know.
This is the last, right? The last. Wait, is this the last one before jury? No, that was David.
There was
and,
one more
and
round before jury. Yeah.
This is the last one I wrote down before the paper just got covered with White Claw and like half of the stuff is
So I did say Jared's name a bit this round, and I told Jared this, but I kept forgetting who he was in the game. I kept looking at the pictures on the YouTube stream, and the Jared I saw there was not the same Jared I saw like playing the game. They didn't look like the same person to me.
That was not the wine guy. That was different. He was different than the wine guy.
Like someone was holding a wine glass the whole time. No, this round was so scary. Like no one said anything at like the first half of it, and then like within like the last minute we had, I heard Tracy and Beth's name, and then the last room I went into, it was Tom and Beth, and honestly, I like was like, Beth, we have to do Tracy, and Tom goes, I'm gonna do what we had discussed. And I knew right then I was out. So I'm like,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just like every round, I thought it was my name. Like I did not trust. So when I heard a name, I stuck with it. I pushed it as hard as I could. And I heard your name and I was like, Beth, just do what we do. It sucks. I loved the no-cal wine love. We got to know each other a little more, which was cool, but
honestly, the first round really scared me because we left the room and we had to find people. And I actually spent like the first 3 rounds with Tom and Beth, so it was like feeling good, and then it didn't happen. But I don't hate you guys. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I just felt backed into a corner where I didn't have like a choice because of my allies, and I'm like, I literally had to pick, like, and cut one, and it sucked because, like, up until that point, I still had Jared and Tom in my top 3, so it was like I was screwed. I felt like the 2 people at that point that I was closest to, somebody was gonna go, and it sucked.
All I have to say is LOSs are really hard to get. I tried to get like 3 of them.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, me
who was
too.
getting them? Because I clicked every time. Who was getting them? Fairy, maybe?
No, I never got one.
No? But I think Bobkin. Somebody was scooping them all up.
Charles got one.
Josh got one.
Yeah, Charles got
Josh got
Oh,
one.
yeah, Charles. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Jared, I
Tracy
didn't
and
want
Josh
to.
got one and played it when Haley went.
Oh, yeah. And Tracy had one.
Honestly, Nick, the first round when you were up, like I was pushing really hard to keep you because you were in the first one I ever watched. So I was like, I need to find Nick and team up with them. But then we never found
17 was
each
your
other.
first mini? Woo, 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 go ahead.
Yeah,
No.
and so
Yeah, so this was like Jared voting you out. I didn't really want to do it, but it was that thing of like, okay, I said I will work with you, so you're not gonna push my name, and then I cut you. So so it's not me, because like Tom said, I think when you are up for elimination in the early rounds, you even if your name is not out there, you fear your name being out there. So you're just on like survival mode.
Yeah, and there was really there was no time really to even push anything for you, Jared, or really even hear your name. When it's 90 seconds, you just kind of have to hope that the room that you're in has a decent amount of people in it are all going to vote the same. So it's kind of a bit of bad luck there.
and everyone from room 1 had dropped like one after the other. It was Patrick, Melissa, Nikki, and then me. And then Josh was the only one left.
Do you think that you will be playing again anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm actually in a few upcoming private minis, so
Oh,
You will
look
see
at
me
that.
down the road.
Not the end of Jared. Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Jared.
Hi.
I remember the days when I used to ask that question about will we see you again, and people would be like, yeah, like, you know, in a month or two, I'm going to try to get back in a Patron Mini. Now everybody's just like, yeah, next week. Next week, I'm playing on Thursday. You know, there's a lot wrong. So that brought us to the drag round, the round before jury. And this was the beginning of the end for the Drag Alliance, as we know it. Apparently, even the fourth member that I didn't know about until today, it even really was the beginning of the end. David's elimination and then the dragging of David, apparently.
News to me.
Yeah. So after David's elimination, he dragged Tom. Those were the two names that were out there, really. But how did we get to that? And David, how did you end up making your decision?
So this round, what I tried to do each round, and I realized this probably came back to bite me. As soon as I heard the twist, I tried to figure out how do I game this twist, and I was almost always the first person to speak out in whatever room I was in. And that was the same thing with this round. There were 4 rooms open. I was in round 2 with Charles and Josh. So as soon as it started, I said, hey, let's none of us go. Each of us are going to go to a different of the 3 rooms, and we are going to deflect our names as much as possible. I went to room 1, I think Charles to 3, and Josh to 4. They obviously didn't stick to that plan because my name was going around, I guess. But I kept seeing people like circle in my room and other rooms, and I would say, what name are you hearing? Nobody was telling me a name at all. So that made it pretty clear what was happening. I started throwing out Tom's name, but the writing was on the wall for me.
Yeah, it was actually Tracy who led the charge for your vote.
How dare you!
And I ended up in a room with you, and I was like, I cannot say your name, and I'm always afraid of this round because I went out on a drag round as well. So I was telling people not to throw votes, and just stick with the plan.
You said that.
But I mean, and like since I ended up in a room with you, David, I had to throw my vote because I feel like I was gonna get dragged.
I wouldn't have dragged you. I wouldn't have dragged you, Chrissy, either.
And there was incentive to vote.
I knew.
There was incentive to.
Yeah, so I know for me it was like Tracy. I was in a room with Tracy and some other people at one point, but David and I just didn't click throughout the game. I'll be honest. Anytime I gave a name to David, he said, no, I'm not voting for that person. And I took that really poorly. So I told Tracy, I said, if everyone votes David, I'm going to get dragged. And I knew in this round, because we did this in the drag mini as well, is I really wanted to vote David, not get dragged, and be able to have safety in that next round because I knew my name was out there. Now, in hindsight's 2020, and David told me he would not have dragged me if I not had voted for him. But I think that was the big mistake. And also telling other people, vote David, because I'm the easy drag, because David just doesn't seem to like me. So that's where I was at. But no hard feelings. We are all good.
That was an interesting feud. Like, I thought it was a feud, but now, like, maybe you were aligned. I don't know.
No, it wasn't personal. Like I said, I didn't know that Tom was your neighbor Susan, or else I would have worked with him. Ironically, like, I feel like Tom is absolutely one of my favorite people that I played with in this game now. It wasn't personal. Honestly, my perspective was so different than the perspective of the audience. I didn't think Tom was really playing the game. I know that he had scraped by, but I thought that was showing that he was playing poorly, that his name kept coming out there. So that's part of the reason I dragged him. I was wanting to drag somebody that I thought the audience would be okay with losing. I watched the Podquester and found out that was very wrong. They were very upset.
Yeah, we're all big Your Neighbor Susan fans. We love Your Neighbor Susan.
Me too. I wanted Your Neighbor Susan to win at the Final Four.
I love it.
So, But yeah, I definitely had in mind like people that I was willing to drag and people that I was not, and I wanted to pick somebody who had said my name. If Josh or Bobkin had voted me out, I probably would have dragged one of them, to be honest.
I was pushing Bobkin. I told you vote for him.
Yeah.
I
I
really
was always
didn't
doing
think
that.
I figured there at the very end, I was like, oh no, David's going. And I was in a room with Tom, and everybody in the room, like as soon as I jumped in there, they're like, David. And I'm looking at Tom like, you know to not vote majority, right? And I thought Tom was, but nope. Tom voted majority because I was like, don't do it. But
I really
we
like
were
this twist.
we were
The
muted
dumb,
so
stupid hoe.
fast. We were muted so fast. It was like,
Yeah, and I think
I was
you
just
were-
hoping.
You were incentivized to vote for the majority as well, so you can get safety in the next round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am curious also the vote total, because there were 5 total votes on David. So if Tom didn't vote that way and it was only 4, how many votes Tom would have had? It could have been, I mean, we could have been talking 4-3 or maybe even 4-4. So it's a risky proposition to not vote for the target there when your name is the one that's coming out the second most. So
yeah,
I see the point there. So overall, start with David. David, how did you enjoy your first Sequester game?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun. I really was blindsided that so many people had played before. When I saw fresh meat, I took that pretty literally, but I guess I was one of the few that was actually fresh meat. But I had a lot of fun. There are a couple things I want to talk about while I have the opportunity. I know I think I was the biggest voice in trying to keep representation in the game. And I really hope that what I said wasn't misconstrued in any way. Sorry, I'm getting a little upset thinking about this, but Kieran, I really didn't want that to seem like
No, like it's fine. It's totally fine. Like, you know, it is a really hard fine line to walk, and if I'm honest, I'm really glad that you do think that representation matters. Like, it's totally fine.
Okay, good. I would feel terrible if, like, I didn't want to come across as a gatekeeper of like who is unique enough to move on or not.
Right.
And maybe to a degree I did become that person, but honestly I was trying to think of like the audience, and I wanted everybody to feel like they had somebody in the jury phase that they could connect with. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I totally get it, and I thank you so much for being that person.
Yeah, I feel like I'm Chrissy in the final 2 right now.
Yeah. Or like the final 10.
We
like-
always say we can't get through PodQuester without some tears. It's not PodQuester unless somebody cries. So
I'm starting. It's gonna continue till I get sleep.
Yeah, and I kept thinking about, like, I haven't seen a ton of minis, to be honest. I did watch the Shadow mini, and I kept thinking about Jacob and how it was so important for him to represent for people who had disabilities. So that really touched me, and I hadn't gotten to see Kieran much early on, so I wanted to give him a chance, and I'm really glad I did.
Thank you so much.
I think you were totally out round 3 until I started hopping rooms and saying, no, we can't do Kieran. So I'll take credit for that, even if,
Yeah, no, do take credit for that, and I thank you.
Yeah, but I had so much fun. I mentioned this in the Facebook group, but this has been such an important experience for me. I've had a
It's okay.
Take your time.
I've had a tough year.
Love you, David.
I felt lonely, and like I don't have a community. So that's something I've been wanting, and I really wanted it with Sequester. So,
And now you do.
Well, you got us.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got
I was
us.
hoping I'd get further so I could make an
us,
impact.
Oh, I don't. That's the thing.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't matter. One of the good things about Sequester, it really doesn't matter if you're a first boot or a winner, right? Because, I mean, we're all going to play again, and we're all going to have multiple opportunities to finish in all different boot placements. And, like, I think Sequester as a whole has been such a saving grace for so many people who, especially in the world that we live in now, you know, are lacking in any sort of community. And I've made more friends here in the past couple months than basically I've made in my entire life. So, you know, if you're willing to put into work and stay with us and stay, you know, active on Twitter, Chrissy, and, you know, with everybody and talk with everybody, like you're set, you're going to have friends. So, I mean, I think it's a good place to be.
Yeah, and I just want you all to know, like, each of you that I'm looking at and the people that aren't here, I adore you. I think you all are amazing. So I'm so happy I got to play with you.
35 Club Gang Gang.
35, yeah.
David,
Absolutely.
I just want to say that you have found family now in 8:15.
Thank you.
Message me anytime. I sometimes in the weekend, like there's orgs and games, and just it's made quarantine bearable. So
Right, and even people who have not played yet, like, I want to be your friend if you're willing. So if you feel like I felt, like, I'm your peer. I'm nothing special. So reach out to me.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks,
good job,
David.
David.
Hi, David. Talk to you later.
And then Tom, first I want to commend your game. I honestly didn't know until probably about midway through your game that you were your neighbor Susan, but just in general, I felt like your game was really, really strong. Like in a different situation where you're not a target from the very beginning, I feel like you have strong end game potential in the way you were able to maneuver yourself and consistently build social bonds and move from room to room and manage the twist. So I think you get a lot of credit there. How did you enjoy playing for your second time?
It was a lot different, like you said, because I think my first game, I was not a target at all. Like my name didn't come up, and so this time I was a lot more nervous. I play the same way I do every game, which is like I'm in the round, I'm here for the round, and then it's another round, and I kind of forget what happens before that. I want to personally apologize to Tracy. In your video, you said that this is your first time playing in a Patron Mini, and I misheard you and thought you said it was your first time playing in a Mini, and I was like, well, she's lying, so get her
Fair
out.
game.
And
Don't
that's
worry
something
about
I
it.
pushed
Fair
really
game.
hard. Yeah, I'm
You don't
sorry.
have to, you
And
don't
I
have
love
to
your hair.
apologize.
I love you.
Oh, well, I think you're great.
But I thought the really cool part for me was like I've been watching for the past couple months, and to play with people like Tracy, you know, to sit in this room with Louie right now, and like really to see people in this community that are bigger figures, or like Tracy, like I saw you and I thought you were amazing. So like to be able to play with these people that are good, that are competitive, and also like have built names, like that's just really cool. And like to see people like to further like the drag mini, yeah, that was a private, but like this public one really showed like how much of a community this really is. And I think like we all agree that like this quarantine wasn't easy. There were parts where like I was alone for months. So like to be, you know, now I'm in a place now where I'm like, I'm gonna sign up for that next private. It's really great. I was cheated, but we're not bitter because we can't get bitter. And I need everyone to know I'm loyal. For the next time you play with me, I'm a loyal hoe. So I'm here for it. If you guys want to, you know, message me, Zoom me anytime. I'm here for it.
We hung out last night. That was fun.
My neighbor's
Hung out again.
Susan. Yeah, Chrissy, I was fully asleep in bed, and Chrissy FaceTimed me, and I had to put on all my clothes again and get on this Zoom call, and it was great.
I was like, come watch this org with me. I'm drunk. It was fun. Bye,
Thank you for coming on, Tom.
Love
Nice
you all.
meeting you.
Love you,
See you
Beth.
soon.
Love you, Beth.
Love you too, Tom.
You're amazing, Tom.
Bye.
Great job, Tom.
All right. So that brought us to the first round of jury. And this was, so Tracy, Nick, Kieran, and Charles went into this round safe. And this was a round where if you had more than 2 votes, you're safe. If you had 0 votes, you're safe. But otherwise, if you had 2, that's the most, or 1. So this ended with Beth's elimination. It looked like it was pretty much between Beth and Chrissy here. how did we get to the Beth elimination?
I think, Beth, you asked for my vote, right? Or I gave you my vote.
Yeah, we were in a room and 2 people were safe, 2 people weren't. So one person, I remember who it was, said was going to vote for me, and the other one vote for the other person. And then we split rooms, and I was like, well, I'm going to find somebody else because I'm clearly going to vote for myself. So I was like, I only need one, and I got in a room with Charles, and I'm like, oh, thank God. So I'm like, I need this vote because I have one, but I'm not 100% sure because I think it was Nick maybe. But I was like, I can't trust it 100% at this point. So I thought I had Charles, and I thought I was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Charles didn't vote for me, and he said after, he's like, I thought you were good. So it was taking a chance.
Yeah.
It was taking a chance to protect somebody else, and I got caught when I thought I was good. But it happened.
I was in that starting room with Beth when the round started, and I think it was Beth, me, and Bobkin who were on the block.
Oh, right.
So and then Tracy was there too, and
In the
Kieran.
room, yeah.
So I just went ahead and like asked for the votes. Bobkin gave me the vote, and then Tracy gave me the vote. So I was gonna vote for myself. So I had 3 votes then. And I didn't ask for any more votes. I was trying to at first, like when I moved to another room, but I felt like I was okay already with 3 votes.
Yeah. It was a tricky round, so.
Hello.
Hey!
Hey!
It's SB.
Hello.
Hey.
Missed you.
Welcome.
I think Beth probably going was also direct correlation with David and Tom going out before, and then so she had less protection around her. And I think if Tom was probably in jury, she probably would have stayed.
Oh, I tell you all right now, and Charles will agree with me. The 3 of us, I thought if Tom would have made it into jury like that far, we would have made one more round. The rest of you would have been in serious trouble. I promise you that. And that's not being cocky. I knew that we had a bond that was good, and I was like, we're good. We have numbers, and then it was like boom, boom. I was like, well, there goes that. Probably one more round we would have ran it, or been damn close, but.
I really thought, and we were talking last night, we really thought that was going to be the storyline of this mini, was the Drag Alliance was going to steamroll to the end, because nobody had it pegged, nobody had any idea, and it really was just that drag that kind of set everything on a downward motion, because if Tom gets past that, I don't really see how, with the rounds that followed, people would be able to maneuver around an alliance that was that strong.
No. Yeah, when David took Tom out, I was like, uh-oh. and at that point, the only one that I felt I could 100% count on was Charles. So, and
that's when I feel like things started to open up for me because I was like, my whole thing was like, oh, I just want to do better than the last time. I just want to, hi Josh, I just want to get on the jury. And then when that happened, I was like, okay, maybe there's a little opening here for somebody like me that has really good social connections, but not like super tight, like alliance out the gate. Yeah.
Well, and after I was gone, I honestly thought it was going to be Charles and Chrissy at the end, because I didn't catch on to Chrissy until the round before I went out. But I was like, oh wait, she's been really good socially, but I haven't heard her name not one time, and I voted for her once just to throw a vote because I wanted it out of the way. Like, I just threw her name out there because I knew she wouldn't go. And then after Tom left, and then I left, I was like, oh, it's definitely going to be Chrissy and Charles. So,
I learned afterwards that David helped with the drag mini. So he had a connection to us that none of us knew, and we could have had him. But once again, we didn't know this, so it was just kind of like, okay. And then I lost both of my sisters. But then I had Chrissy.
Love you.
Yeah, I figured out that David had helped with that. Something was said, and I was like, oh, but it was like literally then he goes and Tom goes, and it was just, okay, well, there goes everything. So, But
yeah. So, Beth, how did you feel playing again for the second time? How was it different from the first time? Any main takeaways?
well, the first time doing it was with drag performers, which that's my world. I've been doing that 20 years. I've been doing it half my life. I'm 40, so it's I've been doing that half my life, and my social world is drag. And I'm a stay-at-home dad. I live in the mountains on a farm in Vermont, like next to a river. So my whole life is this crazy nonsense, but in reality, I'm boring as shit. So to go into like the drag thing, I felt secure. I felt normal because that was my social circle. So to step into the normal world, be my social person, I was terrified because I didn't know what I was getting into, who's going to judge me. Because when you go to a bar to go do a show, people know what they're getting into. And I was so terrified, especially entering that first room, like who's going to, like, is somebody instantly going to be like, no, they got to go, or not trust me because of this, or think also that I could be easy to get out because I'm this big, colorful, stupid character with a ham. I was terrified, but I felt about halfway through, I was like, these people aren't judging me for that. Like, and honestly, at like 40 years old, for the first time, I felt like normal in the normal world. So, I mean, I've never felt anything from anybody because of what I was wearing or the fact I had a ham. It was just, so, I mean, I think I needed this a lot. So, I mean, I'm just happy I got to stick around to where I could experience that feeling of just feeling normal, even though I'm weird as shit. So
that's amazing.
That's like what the beauty of this community, like so many people, and like in this mini especially, like I would never have the opportunity to meet in real life, and it diversifies like my interactions, and it's awesome. And my husband is a fan of yours, and a bunch of my friends. We're like, I've never seen someone play tetherball with a friggin' ham.
Well, I always keep everything so separate. It's like, oh, it's a foster dad. Now I've adopted, and it's like I have my normal everyday life, and then I do this. And I'm always afraid people are going to realize I'm the same person and judge me one way or the other based on it. So having like two worlds collide of what's normal and what's drag is scary for me because I don't do it. So, I mean, just being welcome was like amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
did too. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Like,
yeah, you were awesome.
Well, thank you. Like, honestly, it was like one of the best experiences ever. So,
yeah, I think the Sequester community definitely wants more Beth and more of the ham. I think is needed very quickly. So we hope you play again for sure.
Well, I definitely want to come back.
My mom was saying you played with your hair too much, though. That's what she said. She said, that girl Beth, she plays with her hair too much.
Well, it's right here, so it's normally I play with...
I said, and she can do what she wants, Mom.
To be honest with you, most of the time I play with my breasts, so I didn't wear them, and I put my hair here, so I would do this because the boobs I have have really realistic nipples. I like to play with them, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah, I don't know if my mom would understand that one.
Yeah, so
I will say, Beth, when I saw you and Tom, I had to seriously rethink my strategy, because my strategy in a lot of games, I go in and I'm like, hey guys, I'm a drag queen. Hi, yes, it's me, a drag queen. And everybody loves the drag queen. So I'm usually like, yes, I'm a drag queen. And people flock to me. They're like, wow, drag queens, love them. And then I saw y'all and I was like, shit, I can't say I'm a drag queen, because then they gonna know that I know these two other bitches, but at least one of them, because you were in drag. And I was like, okay. So I definitely had to think about my approach. Even though I said I was a drag queen in the start, I didn't really rub it in as much as I usually do.
Yeah, and I was afraid that everybody would figure out that the three of us knew each other. And somehow nobody knew.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really pegged that.
No.
I had a feeling you knew Tom. Charles. I don't know.
Oh well, I mean, I think
Something made me feel that way.
I think me and Tom knowing each other was kind of a given because every time Tom's name came up, I was like, I don't know what y'all thinking. Not Tom, not on my watch, so that probably gave that away. But I think me and Beth were able to seriously go under the radar as in regards to our relationship to one another. And then I fucked this over, and she got the chop.
Well, I didn't know how it would go because, like I said, the game that we played together, I went with the majority, which was Charles, and I regretted that for the last 9 days before we played. And then when I saw Charles pop up there was 50% of me that was like, "Oh yes," and the other 50% is like, "Bitch, you're done." Like it's game over. But I was like, I'm gonna stick to Charles because I like them a lot, especially after the drag mini, the chats and everything. She let us all have it for different reasons. She educated the children in our group. Like she's a great advocate for Black people and for queer people, and like her representation, like going into this game, I was like, I have her back even if she stabs mine, because I felt like I owe that to her. And like I'm so happy I got to play with Charles because it's like I have mad respect. So, and that game was epic. So
thank you. Wow. I told y'all last night when people speak highly of me, I'm just kind of like, what do I do? But thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're amazing. I love you so much. So
Awesome. Well, you must have been a mess the last 24 hours because you've got
I know,
a lot of love.
That just gonna keep coming.
I was in a Zoom and I was like, I think highly of myself. I always joke around and I'm like, yeah, everybody wants to be Charles. But then when people actually start to give me compliments, I'm like, wait, hold up. I don't know why y'all are complimenting me. I'm not all that. So it's very much so interesting. I thought going into this game, I would be perceived as a bitch because I was coming in guns blazing. I was like, these people that voted me out pre-jury twice. I have never made the jury. So I'm about to be as cutthroat as possible to make it to the end. And then to find out that people were actually receptive of me, I was like, oh, well, this is not what I expected.
Yeah, I think for you though, the strength that you commanded through the game is why everybody had your back so much, is because like I felt like I owed you stuff, even though I didn't, just because the way you were running the game. Like you were doing so good at commanding every room that you were in. So
you were so confident and like just eloquent when you spoke, and
yeah, it was a strategic,
and you were welcoming.
Force, for sure.
Absolutely.
Beth, I'll let you go so we can move on to the next round. But I do want to ask you before you go, how did you decide upon your jury vote as to who won?
I figured everybody was going to cover the basis of everything. I was leaning a little more towards Chrissy, and the only reason was because I never heard her name, and I looked back through my votes. I voted for Nick, I think, first or second round because it was majority. Chrissy, the only reason I voted for is because I was just throwing a vote. And track record and gameplay, I felt like I had to give it to Chrissy. It had nothing to do with the ham question. The correct answer was this sexy ham, but nobody got it. But
I said it.
But I was just happy to be part of it. So, and really, even there at the very end, I sat there for a second. I didn't know what to do. But it was a hard decision, but thank you all. It was amazing.
Yes. Thank you for coming on, Beth. We appreciate it. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Hi, Beth.
I hope so.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that brought us to the next round, which was the exile safety chain, similar to what we saw the night before. And this was the round that ended in Tracy's elimination. I feel like this was the most hectic round of the night by far, in terms of passion for the game, and Josh really being very, very forceful in his point. I think he sealed his spot in the next Heroes versus Villains on the villain side for sure, 100%. Tracy, I feel like you got lucky because when you were initially exiled, it was very much forceful your way between Josh and Kieran getting to vote you, but Chrissy could not hear a thing. So because of that, after having to exit and come back, you got to kind of push your point before anybody else. and I feel like Kieran was the deciding factor in sealing your fate. Let's discuss a little bit how we got there.
You want to ask Josh first?
Well, it boiled down to a mole game. So tell me more about
Okay.
the mole game. I feel like that was the deciding thing here.
So going way back at the beginning of this game, when everyone's names came up, and I saw 3 names that I knew: Nick and Fairy and Josh. And look at Josh; he's hiding his face because he's scared I'm going to rip it off of him. Just kidding. And
I'm working in a restaurant. I'm trying to slip in while I can.
Oh my God, he's at freaking work right now. I love it. Yo.
Yeah, and so when I saw his name, we had just played the week before through a mutual friend of ours. He put a online the mole game together, and Josh was on there. I had never met him before, but so I was like, well, I gotta find him, connect with him, and so we did, and I thought we were good. That's the problem, is that I thought I could trust him, and yeah, and I tried to get the 4 together, and I think I got through to Nick, and I said, Nick, Josh, and Ferry, like the 4 of us will do it, but I never got to Ferry to tell Ferry about Josh. And so when Ferry exiled Josh into the room, I believe is when he decided that he was gonna throw me under the bus. I believe.
So I played in the Mole Mini. I was first boot of it, so I totally forgot that Josh played the Mole Mini the entire time. So when you told me to keep Josh safe, I thought, was he someone who played International 2 that I have never met? So when you got to that point in the game, I was like, if it was normal safety chain, my goal was to get Josh out. And then you went out, but yeah, I couldn't have done anything.
No, that's okay. You don't remember Josh from the Mole game?
I don't remember much from the Mole game.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
Nick,
reminds
you
me
and I
of
were the
the
first
time-
2 out that day, so we didn't have much time with each other.
I will say that round shook me. I need to go back and find it, because when everybody joined the room and you did not join, Tracy, my face just fell to the ground. And I was like, what the hell is this? Because I had it mapped out in my head. I was like, okay, Chrissy's coming back, Tracy's coming back. I'm gonna pull them to the side and I'm gonna let them know this is the tea. We are working together. We are making it to the end. And then when you left, I literally just felt my game crumbling. I was like, okay, I think I'm leaving at Final 4 now. And I think that's why when we got to Final 4, I kind of was at peace with it. I was just like, okay, don't vote me out. And then it just happened. So that was definitely a moment for me. I will definitely go find that clip, because I literally just was so shocked in that moment, because I was like, what the hell is this? Why did they vote my girl Tracy out? What's going on?
I mean, we all know that's where I started to struggle. And I kind of spoke on this last night and posted about it, but like the connection I made with you was genuine. I took you to exile thinking I was going to work with you, thinking we had Josh, and then
you know what, girl?
Totally flipped, and I was like, I don't want to be on that wheel, because we saw what happened to my boy Nathan and what happened to my boy JD a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yeah.
All right. It's all for nothing. It
And
really is, because I had an LOS that I forgot to play.
Oh, wow.
So, world, look at the biggest idiot in the whole thing. So,
So wait.
Charles, you could be mad at me.
I've done that
Terry, you
before,
can be
so-
mad at me. A lot of you people can be mad at me, because I think I screwed up all y'all's games.
Who did you vote for?
I voted for Josh.
So Josh would have left that round.
But I got into the jury room. I sat there. Please understand, and I'm so sorry. It was 5:30 in the morning.
No,
I get it. I get
My
it.
brain
I get it.
was mush, and I'm so pissed, and I'm so sorry. And now I've just completely announced it to the whole world that I made the biggest mistake of the whole game. But so that's what happened, y'all. Josh would have gone. I could have kept it to myself, but I didn't.
All right, can I speak on that round real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so when Ferry excluded me, I was already on the fence who I was going to ride with to the end. And once he put that was kind of like the tipping point. Like, I'm getting rid of either Ferry, Nick, or Tracy, whoever's coming in here with me. So that's why I chose to save Charles, because I hadn't been working with him that closely. So I was hoping to get Chrissy and Kieran in there with me, with one of you 3, so that way I could have everyone gang up on whoever the 4th person was. And Tracy, the reason I went after you was because, yeah, you made that Final 4 with me, But if we went to Final Four and you got voted out, or Ferry got voted out, or Nick got voted out, each and every one of you was going to drag me. So even if I got the Final Four with y'all, Final Four is where my game would have ended. I figured by getting rid of you, I could open the game wide open and then have a real shot to get to the end. I wanted to make my own Final Four, not be part of your Final Four. And that's the reason why, I had to go for you as soon as I had the opportunity.
Yeah, fair enough. I get it.
That was a huge move, but I think it also kind of
tanked your game.
Set you up for the next round to go. Like, because I was like, holy shit. I was like, this dude he's killing it. I was like, this is too much. So
I shouldn't have said anything.
No, you should. I'm glad we know now. That's what Podcaster's for. It's getting all the information out there.
I was wondering who was getting them because I clicked it every time, but then my stream's always behind, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Nick likes to tell the roomies and there's an LS. So.
Not my proudest moment. And honestly, I haven't slept
Cassie, one more
yet.
thing about
So
the
that's probably
next
another
round, just
reason why
because
I
I
said
got to run real soon. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's okay. What'd you say?
Oh, I just want to say one last thing about the next round where I went out. Yeah, because I was taking that energy from the last round and bringing it into the next one. So as soon as we got there, Chrissy wasn't feeling too great about voting you out, and Kieran was immediately saying that the reason was because you had a final 2 deal with Ferry, and so immediately I wanted to defend Kieran and back him up on that because I didn't want Kieran to go either. I wanted to roll to the end with Kieran and Chrissy, so I wanted to back him up, and then I should have either point blank said Kieran vote with me or Bob can vote with me instead of leaving it out in the air and hoping somebody did, or played it up more that I had an LOS. I kind of hinted at it, but I don't think I leaned into it hard enough. And yeah, I guess, and that was the end of me.
Josh, I was a big fan of it. From the beginning, I feel like you had a really great mind for the game and what you were doing. So I hope you play again because I feel like you're destined to do well in this game.
Yes. I will say that round when y'all came back, y'all saved me. Because I fully expected in that moment for people to be like, okay, Charles, this is your moment to go. And then as soon as y'all started arguing, I was like, bitch, this is perfect. Let me sit back. Let me grab my water and let me relax because y'all went at each other. And I said, you know what? Let me let them go at each other. And let me hope they forget that I'm here.
Yeah, when the Mole Alliance was called out, I was really scared that I was going to be targeted in the future rounds for being associated with that as well. And then Josh started arguing, and then my name never even came up.
Yeah, I kind of liked watching Josh when I was in jury because he kept bringing my name up. I'm like, dude, I'm out already. Stop bringing my name up.
So, Tracy, what were your thoughts on playing again? Obviously, you had a really good run in International 2 as well. How did this compare?
Okay, I'm exhausted. Going through the whole night was hard. It was really hard, and I had an International 2. Actually, I had a lot of protection because we had that pre-built-in pre-gaming. So I knew I went in with a couple of allies. So for me, the first half of International 2, I had a lot of fun, and in this one, I was stressed out because people knew me. I played one mini that I think we had 500 people watch live. So I was like, nobody knows me. And then I'm finding out people actually know who I am. So those things that Tom said earlier, that's really nice. I appreciate those things that he said, but it's so strange to think, that I made an impression anywhere. So anyway, this second
I didn't know
half,
you had played. I didn't know you had played. I thought you were good within the game.
I appreciate it. I didn't know you played either because I just can't keep up with all the minis.
Exactly.
But oh, sorry guys, I'm so tired. I really enjoyed it. I love this cast. I'm so excited to really get to know you all because I've gotten to know my international cast really well, and I'm hoping it's the same here because this is such a great, diverse bunch of people, and it's amazing. And the second half was a lot of fun, a lot less stressful, even though I got out earlier than I did the last time.
Thank you for coming on, Tracy. We appreciate
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, get some sleep.
Get some sleep.
And see who won Brickcaster.
Yeah.
And send us pictures of your view later. I like that.
Hey everyone, I'm gonna hop off as well. I had a great time playing with all of y'all. It was an amazing game. I had a lot of fun. Y'all take care.
Great job,
Thanks
Josh.
for coming on. I always love the commitment.
Have a good work. Have a good work shift.
When people come on Podquester from work, that's a whole nother level of trying to get in there. All right. So
Where's
that
Bobkin?
Bobkin is working. Apparently, Bobkin time cannot get on the camera. Womp womp. He was in chat. He is in chat though. He is talking in chat. So
are we allowed to look at that?
Huh?
Are we allowed to look at that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like in the game. I can just be like, "Hi, Bobkin."
Say hi, Bobkin. Bobkin's giving his commentary. Look at that. Look at that. It's like Bobkin's here. Only
Oh my god, wait, David, Bobkin. Oh, James.
Yeah, everybody's
hi,
here. Everybody's here.
All right, anyway, keep going. I'm sorry.
So that brought us to the second round of Now or Later. I think the biggest part of this and the biggest shock was that Ferry didn't vote in the first round. And I think everybody assumed that Ferry had already voted and Ferry had not voted. And that was what kind of sealed Kieran's fate. What were you all thinking going into this second part of the round?
I had already voted, so yeah.
Going into this round, this is the round that I literally felt the safest because I knew I wasn't going anywhere. I was like, okay, you have an LOS and you have a vote. I have double the power at this point. I just wish, because I'm a very explosive person, so I react when people give me something. So as soon as Kieran said my name, instead of sitting back and thinking, my first response was, go ahead and do what you got to do. I got an LOS. And then I sat back afterwards and I was like, I could have tried to deflect a little bit, but I felt like they all would have voted me anyway. And then I could have just played my LOS and got somebody out. But yeah, that could have been played very different. Kieran, you ended up getting the blunt of it because you were like one of the first people to bring up my name the whole game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I get it. Yeah, and and you were kind of my Achilles heel in the game, and I'm glad my Achilles heel was as iconic as you. So there you go.
So I saved I didn't vote either for the first round. Because I think in somewhere between the shouting, Chrissy said something along the lines of she didn't like Josh yelling. So I knew that Chrissy was going to vote for Josh. And then I knew Ferry would assume that I would have voted for Josh to keep him safe. So
I said that out loud. I typed that to Audrey when I voted for him. I was like, I didn't like how loud he got.
So I saved my vote. And then when the round started, when Kieran went for Charles, and I just started asking everyone, who are you voting for, just to see where the landscape was. And then I knew that I needed to do something so I could say, if I made it to the finals, so I had something to say. I felt like I didn't need to do anything, but I just wanted to because that seemed like an opportune time. So I wanted Kieran out because of that Kieran could win the game. But I didn't want to vote for him because I felt like you were getting close in the game, and he was someone that I really, really liked in the game. I didn't get my hands dirty by voting him out. So I threw my vote onto Bobkin, and in hopes that two scenarios would have played out, which would have been Kieran votes for Charles, I vote for Bobkin, and there would have been a tie on Charles and Bobkin, and we could have voted one of them out. Or people vote Kieran, I vote Bobkin, and then Kieran goes out. And then so either way, it would still have benefited me regardless.
I think that was a prime moment I will own up and say I think Kieran was the wrong move for me. But me being giving a reaction to what Kieran gave me, I didn't think about the whole scope. And Bobkin was kind of very under the radar. Kieran was kind of heard of, everyone was heard of but Bobkin. And I think that would have been like the perfect moment to chop Bobkin, because I don't think he had a vote at that point, did he?
Guys, I was trying to vote for him like the whole game. No one could ever get behind it. He was so good.
And I was missed.
No one could ever get behind it.
He missed it me, along with my reactions to Kieran. Just it flopped. I flopped. Kieran, I flopped.
It's okay. I kind of flopped too. Let's be real. Calling you out was probably the wrong move for me.
It was good TV.
It was good TV.
It was a good moment.
That's the combination sometimes. It's not as fun, but sometimes it is beneficial to just stay silent, which is what Bobkin did for basically about like 3 rounds and just didn't say a word. So, it's not as entertaining, but sometimes it works. Kieran, what was the move then, do you think? If it wasn't to call out Charles, what should you have done there?
I almost wonder if I should have lied and said that I didn't have a vote. And so that I think it was Ferry that had initially asked me, okay, so who do you want to vote for? And then I wouldn't have said Charles. But at the same time, I feel like I don't know if I would have gone out anyway. So maybe I should have played that round differently and either voted in the first round and just went for Josh and then not had a vote in the second round, or just had a vote but lie about it. I kind of wonder if that's what I should have done.
So how was playing, now that you finally got to do it and play post-jury and play the long game? How did it feel?
It was a lot of fun. I felt really, really good about my game, and I felt pretty good about it. I think that I made a lot of strong moves. I'm pretty happy with how I played. I'm pretty happy with the cast. The cast is amazing. So I had a really great experience. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
You impressed me so much. Like, just your wisdom, your maturity, your ability to speak. When we finally of course, like when we connected and we were able to, like, because I didn't see you much at the beginning of the game, but when we connected like later and I was like, hey, I saved you, and you're like, I got you. I just really took to you. I'm really impressed by you, and
thank you.
And I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you too.
Kieran, you're my fucking boy, Kieran.
Thanks.
We'd love to see it, Kieran. Thank you for coming on.
Love to see it. Thank you so much.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
All right, so that brought us to final 5. We had our trivia competition, and Nick and Bobkin were safe, and this resulted in Ferry's elimination. So Chrissy, this was basically all your decision. It was Charles and Bobkin voting Ferry, Nick and Ferry voting Charles, and it was down to you to decide what was kind of the deciding factor for you in getting you to think that this was the best plan for your end game.
This was hard. I mean, every freaking time was hard, but this one was particularly hard because there was pros and cons to both sides. I was aligned with both of them. And I kind of had like good feelings about both of them throughout the game, and I knew they had both stood up for me and wanted to work with me. And this is where I feel like kind of like the social game kicked in. I needed like to start to infuse the strategy a little bit. But with this here, like, it came down to loyalty. Like, I know that Charles had pushed to save me in the round where Beth went out. And you had to stack votes on me. I still don't know where that other vote came from, though, because Nick didn't do it. So we have to figure that out. But from the beginning of the game, when we had to make that initial pair, like, I just got a good vibe from Charles, and it was like, again, so cool to meet someone that, like, in my real life I would never get to meet and connect with him, and like just right off the start from the beginning we were tight, and Charles saved me, and I think that's what it came down to. And I knew, like, moving past that, like, I was gonna have to probably cut Charles, but in that moment, like, that loyalty meant something to me. I'm a social loyal player. That meant something to me.
I think in that moment, because I listened to Podquester last night for a little bit after I left, as far as to hear commentary on the last round, and I heard people saying, well, we think this is the moment that Bobkin kind of secured himself with Charles, when in reality, I wasn't even thinking about Bobkin, because Bobkin didn't push my name. The moment that you did not vote me out was kind of what secured that thing of, if Chrissy votes me out at Final 4, I'm just going to drag whoever she wants to leave. That was literally your moment that set you up, I think, for the win in the end. Because at that moment, I literally decided, I don't care if I leave, I'm not dragging Chrissy. Because she did not have to vote to save me this time.
And like I want you to know, like moving forward after that, like again, it was like another hard thing I really struggled with, just emotionally. And you know, everybody was saying I was like too emotional. Maybe I'm tired, but I was like, this is just freaking hard. Like I had got such good energy from you, and that it meant so much to me from the beginning, to have partnered with you and to be safe. Because initially, like with that first twist, like in the starting room, I would have just grabbed Nick because I knew him, but then we couldn't have anybody. And you came in and there were 6 of us and you were right above me and you were like, girl, I'm gonna roll with you. I was like, all right, not writing your name down the entire game until I had to. So thank you.
At this point in the game, a lot of people were talking about Bob King maybe winning, but I personally felt from like final 6-ish, there was no compilation of the final 4 where Bob King could have gotten to the final 2.
Yeah.
So after Ferry left, I feel like this is when it really picked up for this round, because I wasn't sure. Usually in Final Four, you kind of have a pretty decent grasp of where it's going to go. And Charles, honestly, I thought you would be in danger here from early on, just because you were playing such an incredible game and you were so likable. Like, let's, as we all like to say, put respect on the name. I think you became a Sequester legend last night, and I firmly believe that. Not just in your, you bring everything that a viewer of Sequester wants to see in terms of your strategic and your entertaining, and like, I have no doubt you're going to be brought back for an All-Stars edition. I have no doubt that we're going to see you many, many times in the future if you choose to stay in the community, that you will be a very big deal in Sequester. That being said, I also knew you would be in danger because of that, because there's no way anybody could bring you to the final 2 and win. It would be a landslide and they would lose. So I knew you were going to be in trouble, and that was kind of what we saw here. Now, what threw that off, though, was the self-vote that Nick got for talking after the timeout, which I don't know how I feel about that in the Final Four. I didn't notice it. It didn't seem too blatant to me, but it did happen. And
Nick, I'm so sorry.
Kind of changed how things went. So what was the thinking there as that happened and how you were all trying to maneuver it for?
So as soon as Audrey said Nick gets a self-vote and you can change, I don't think my fingers have typed so fast in my life. I don't know who did I vote for originally?
It wasn't voting Bobkin?
I think I voted Bobkin, and then as soon as Audrey said you can change, I said Nick. I'm voting Nick. And I was hoping that someone else was like, well, let's hop on this moment. But that didn't work out. I thought about the different strategies that I could have taken. I could have threatened to drag Chrissy, but I'm very much so that person that doesn't like to lie in games. So I didn't want to pull that, I'm going to drag you, Chrissy thing. And I don't know, I couldn't get behind the threats, which I think was my biggest downfall in the Final Four, was I didn't want to threaten to drag people, because for me, I'm just like, that doesn't seem like the type of gameplay that I wanted to do. And I also had come to terms that I was probably leaving at Final Four once Beth left, because I figured everybody, if I made it to that point, everybody was going to say, okay, Charles, you got to go.
If this was like Survivor, you would have had that hero like vote off music. And I think if you get recast, you'll be a hero. Like,
yes.
So
for the final, back to when Josh called out the Mole Alliance, and then at Final 5 and Ferry went, I was very cautious. From the Josh thing, I was very cautious about speaking a lot in jury from then on, because I was very scared that people will bring up the argument that I've been up for elimination a lot pre-jury, and then I kept escaping votes, and so now vote Nick out. And then Josh added to that because then I had the Final Four, and then Ferry left, and everyone knew I was aligned with Ferry. So at Final Four, and then I'm very much a person who's okay with not having to fight a drag. If someone says I'm dragging you, final decision, I'm okay with that. So I made sure to say, hey guys, can we let everyone speak and defend the drag, because I feared that personally I was going to get dragged. So I made sure to make that a point so that I could have talked if I was going to get dragged.
That was smart. I like that a lot because, I mean, we've seen it probably in the past like 4 or 5 minis, that being the case of the person not being able to speak. So kind of setting that precedent. I'm actually curious how that will go along in these next few minis and if people stick to that now just because you said that and trying to kind of, somebody else said, it might have been you, Chrissy, like setting that precedent for season 3 that people get the chance to talk will be interesting.
Oh, you mean like for the wait, in the room or like in the pregame?
For the drag that everybody gets the chance to speak after they are the person
that
gets
one.
the chance
Okay.
after a drag, yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm running on like an hour and a half of sleep. Go ahead.
Balkin, I would have dragged you in the Balkin. I would have dragged you. I think everyone would have dragged you in the final 4.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I did
for
it.
me, the only person that was off limits dragging wise was Chrissy. I did not care if I dragged Nick. I did not care if I dragged Bobkin because I knew in that moment if I was voted out, Chrissy was going to the final 2 and my vote was going to Chrissy. And I think, yeah, you set yourself up good, Nick, because even with my equation of, oh, well, Chrissy, you just get to decide who you drag because I really didn't care. You were set up for the final 2. So you play right.
Yeah. Because
I'm curious though, Chrissy, did you think you had a better chance against Nick than you had against Bobkin?
I honestly didn't think I was going to win either way, to be honest with you. But for me, it came down to like, again, loyalty and connections. And I don't know why. And like, he's probably going to end up being like a friend to me now. But like in the game, I just never connected with Bobkin on that level. Until like the jury, like in the questions in the jury. And then when we got there, I was kind of thinking, all right, like he just kind of he didn't talk me into voting for Charles. I was never going to do that, but just his fight was so strong. I was like, maybe this whole time, like he's been kind of quiet. And then if I bring him to the final 2, he's just going to come out and, start having like a similar fight to what Josh had. Does that make sense? Like he could have been like masking real quiet and then came out. And then also Nick like is a friend and he deserves it. He works hard. He's a good person. He likes to make people feel included. I just wanted to see him there and representation and love you.
Well, I think that's the other thing that should. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so I pulled out that card, and I think because when I came into the patron, I had a lot of baggage from 716. When personally, I felt in 716, JD, Tommy, Ethan, and I, who all made the final 4, played similar games, but I saw some comments that I was like naive and I was innocent and that I didn't know what I was doing, even though I got third that round in that game. But the other 3 players in the top 4 didn't, and it felt a bit like there was some bias in that viewpoint. So I think that's where pulling out that card came from.
You're saying you're talking about how people would have preferred like Ian or JD to win.
No, not preferring that, but it's like I played a similar game to Ethan, I played a similar game to JD, but I was the only one that got this like naive, innocent, docile. I didn't know what I was doing, and the other person who got those comments in our game was Ron, who was also Asian.
What up, Ron?
I think there was a lot of baggage with that.
Yeah.
And
also, like, you're leaving for the army soon?
I am in the army already.
You're in the army.
Yeah.
Do you, like, go... That was another thing. I was like, I want this to be, like, memorable for him, and...
Yeah, so it's actually been a really terrible week. And I was actually going to... After what happened in the Final 4 in Winners at War, I was actually going to drop out of this mini.
I low-key thought about it, too. Go ahead.
So shout out to the people who told me not to drop out. Yeah.
I will say, was there any way that y'all would not have voted for me? I don't think there was anything that I could have said to sway votes off of me in that moment.
If you told me you were dragging me, I think I would have voted for Bobkin.
What happened?
If you told me you were dragging me, I think I would have voted for Bobkin. Because my last game, I went to a wheel at Final 4. I'm never going to do that again. Never go to a wheel, friends, at Final 4.
I thought of that when I voted Tracy out. I was like, I'm not doing it. was freaking hard.
Oh.
But no, I think you played the ultimate game. Just perfect combination of like social and strategic, and I just adored you. And I was like, yeah. And you're sitting there going like, nobody in that jury gonna vote for me. They just think I'm funny. I was like,
at that point, I was just like, shit, I'm about to go. What can I say? And I was like, you know what? I wasn't even strategic, and I have all my strategy notes right in front of me, like flying.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's buying that. You were pushing votes the whole time. No one was ever gonna buy it.
And I'm like, just you a fish out of water, so you might as well just keep grasping for whatever little bit of life you have right now. And I'm like, I'm not strategic. Maybe the jury hates me. Just vote Bobkin. And somebody pointed out, there's like, Charles, how you gonna say you want to stay loyal to 3 when there's only a final? So I was like, listen, at that point, I just had to say what I had to say. So I was like, no, listen, I'm loyal to the 3. But it just was kind of a last-ditch effort that I wasn't upset that it didn't work. I come to terms with that. So when it didn't work, I was like, oh, damn, y'all got me. Even though
I'm forever appreciative of you because I would not be here without you.
I still think you would have gave me a run for my money in that jury.
Maybe I would have gotten like 2 votes. I don't know.
Not to seem like conceited, I wasn't too worried about Bobkin or Nick. You were the one I was worried about because I was like, I think Chrissy can beat me. Even though you decided to ask what was Bobkin game during the time when we couldn't even vote out Bobkin.
Oh yeah, I was just curious. I just never saw him, and I was like, I feel like he's playing well, but I just don't know. Like, whereas like somebody like David, I saw more of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like your game, Chrissy, even by your own talk, I think it's underrated. Like I felt watching it, like if you watch the podcast, like I thought you did have a strong game. Like I felt like you made those bonds. And if you look at the votes, you were the deciding vote basically the whole last few rounds. Like you decided who went home, and that in itself shows that you put yourself in a very strong position leading up to the final 2. So I can see definitely people sleeping on your game when it was a good game, I thought.
The thing I'm most proud of, I think, is like I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know who was there, and there were people that had, like, obviously I knew Nick, and that was it, and there were people that had connections from like previous games, and even like low-key built-in alliances, and I was able to just establish the bonds that were there, and they were real. I didn't get upset to get a sympathy vote or anything. Like I like people. I'm extroverted. I love meeting new people and like just broadening my horizons. And I did that in the game. And when I had to cuss someone, yeah, it really sucked.
And then one last thing I definitely want to comment on was the 716 mini is absolutely
716 fire.
Like the fact that y'all keep doing this is ridiculous. So both the last 2 final 2s for Patron Minis have both come from 716. Tommy, I mean, aside from yesterday or the day before, he had played 2 minis, won both. Ian went far and then was on All Stars. Like you have all
Ian, I love you.
consistently continue to show how great that mini is. And the fact, I don't know numbers, nobody's gonna ever put those numbers together, but I imagine at this point you guys are far ahead of any other mini ever in terms of statistically the best to ever play. So congratulations on that.
We also had some people that did well in private too. Danielle was in our mini. She was second vax and came in second in Pride. What'd you say?
Final 2 also Danielle.
Yeah, she was second place, and and then Luke was 4th place.
Oh yeah, we love Luke. Hawk Trapper.
Spectrum doesn't.
Absolutely, Spectrum, the worst. Drag Spectrum.
Shout out everyone.
Yeah, so what did you think, Chrissy and Nick? Did you think going into it that you had a shot at it? Did you think that you were going to lose? What was your thinking there?
No, I did not think I was going to win.
I thought it was pretty equal. I feel like we both had shots to win. I was just trying to play up the fact that I could have gone first round, and then I'm still here. I had tech issues, and my name was out. I could have been nominated a lot of times, and I still survived. But the ham question really threw me for a loop, and it flustered me.
Picnic ham was a better answer. Picnic ham. I 100% agree. I mean, I'm Italian, so Chrissy, it was a good answer too. But picnic ham, I'd rather.
Because like.
Gabagola.
Yeah, Gabagola.
All my friends were texting me. They were like, "What the fuck?" And then I said something about I meant to say socialization, and I said socialism, and they were like, "Why are you talking about that?" Anyway, go ahead. Next part, baby.
I knew the question wouldn't have mattered in like the voting, but it threw me for a loop and made me really flustered because it was a kind of question that I feel like as an international player, it didn't really like. It's something that I couldn't. I don't want to blame Beth for anything because I don't think she did anything wrong. But I think it was not an question I could really answer well.
And you're gonna overthink it too because you're like, what if that's our deciding?
I mean, we don't really eat ham. That's you know what I mean,
right?
Yeah.
And then I forget. Oh
it was very much a podquester mini question. Those are the kind of questions we ask when we play our final 6 on podquester. Is like, what's your favorite cereal? What's your favorite ham?
I gotta watch that part. I always get so tired at the end, and then y'all, did you win? Who won?
Who won last?
Did you play?
I was the first. I'm always the first boot now because apparently I'm such a huge threat because I host these things, which is ridiculous. Change that narrative, America. Thank you. Pre-gaming is allowed. Both of you, everyone here, when you get on, because I'm sure you will at some point.
This is the final 3 right here. Okay.
Final 3. We're going to the end.
You're gonna let me come and talk? You're gonna let me come to the commentary?
If you want. Just send me a DM whenever you're free. Everybody's welcome. We're an open door here on Podquester.
Oh my god, what would I say? I would be like, he's hot, she's cute, she's funny. I would Oh, Charles is back. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, it was really hot. I had to go wash off that makeup.
Yo, you were funny when you kept getting hot last night. You were like, Charles, it's hot here. I'm in LA, so got it.
LA doesn't seem to believe in central air. And the AC unit I have only cools down the living room. So my room, according to my thermometer, was about 95 degrees.
Oh, wow.
I'm baking like Bethlehem's ham. And I was hot.
Bethlehem's ham.
So what I'll do now, get final thoughts from everybody, go around. We'll start with you, Charles. What were your thoughts on the game and getting to play again?
I'm happy with the outcome. I had one goal. Well, I guess 2 goals. Of course, like winning is a goal, but I don't think that needs to be spoken. My one goal was to make jury because I was pre-jury flopped twice.
When did you play before the Drag Mini?
So before the Drag Mini, I played in June of 2019. So I played a year ago.
Wow.
And I was dragged out. It was a drag round, and I literally didn't even know the person who dragged me. I don't know why they dragged me. I don't know if they just went down the list and was like, let's drag Charles. And they dragged me out. So I flopped there. Then I came back for the Drag Mini feeling all good. I'm like, I'm about to dominate this. And then I was literally second out. And then after that, I was like, okay, I can go back to kind of show them. I never had a chance to fully show them who I was as a person. And I'm like, okay, I have no doubt that as a person, I would dominate this game. But it seems like the first impressions part of this game work against me. So last night, I guess I was able to give off a good first impression, which kind of confirmed what I thought. Once I get past that first impression, I'll do very well. So I think overall, this game turned out to be what I expected it to be. And I completed my goal of making it to jury. And then I was able to vote for the baddest bitch to be the winner, period.
And now you're a fucking legend. Now you're a legend, Charles.
I was going to say, Charles, you don't have to worry about that first impression anymore. The first impression in your game of Sequester is officially over because people will know who you are.
And now I'm scared because when I walk in the room, everybody talking so highly of me. They're going to be like, this is Charles. Charles got to go.
I think you have I think you have some things to look forward to in the future of this game if you play again. So, Nick, what about you?
You know, I came in. I just wanted to prove that I could play a strong game. That me getting to the end at 716 wasn't like a fluke. And you know, I placed even higher. I've never been voted out of the game, and I'm just really I you know I had, like I said before the stream started, I had a 50-50 shot of going home first, and then I had a 50-50 shot of winning the game. And I'm so happy that Chrissy won. She's a friend. You know, I'm so happy that if I lost, I lost to her. Yeah, and so happy to be part of this community who have like welcomed me with open arms.
Absolutely. And then finally, our winner, Chrissy. We'll put the Twitter up. We know you don't use Twitter, but apparently you have one. So get those follows. Get those follows.
Tracy followed me already.
There you go.
So for me, like I had a couple goals. One was like within the game, I wanted to place better than I did the last time. The last time was the first time I played. I came in 13th. Very much my game was similar, but people pegged me as like too likable and then turned against me for that. So I wanted to still be myself in that aspect, but also start to infuse some strategy within the game that I was playing. I also wanted to do a little, like be a little bit more aggressive, and I felt like I did that. Whereas like if you watch like my first mini back, there were times where I would just like I would go into a room by myself and do a confessional for like straight 3 minutes and just sit and wait for an LOS. I like spent time like talking to the mod about how much protein I ate and talking to my friends, and I was like, you know what, like not like I wanted to go do more, because when I was in that room alone is when I got out. Another goal is I wanted to show representation for the women in the game, but also all the different cultures, ethnicities, diverse cast that we had. The last time I played, I was set up to make it look like I was against the other girl that was left. So I wanted to align with the girl, but also have another core group of people that showed diversity, so representation in that. And I felt like I did that with Melissa. And then also with Charles. And we still got to figure out how Melissa got booted. Justice for that. And then the last one was just like, I kind of talked about it at the end in the jury, but for me, like, it's been a year, like everybody's been saying, kind of. I mean, this year sucks. Like in April, I had coronavirus. I was home for a long time. And I'm very, very extroverted, so I feed off other people's energy. And then I was stuck inside. There was like a 3-day period where I couldn't even like see my husband. So struggle with that. But I've always been like, just kind of that sweet person that'll just go with anything and not make the decisions. Does that make sense? Or like, I'll just work the extra time, or I'll take the extra stuff. And maybe that sounds like I'm like martyrizing myself. I don't know. Sorry if it comes off that way, but I just wanted to try to do something a little bit. I wanted to try to still be myself, but be in a situation that was a little uncomfortable. And even if I got sad about it, just kind of grow a little bit, like take command of some things. So like, targeting David, but now Tracy, but now Charles, all those things were so hard, but like, I took control of something for me, and like hopefully I can use that to take something from the game and interfuse it with my real life. And I just thank you for the opportunity to be here and talk about it. And it means a lot to it is just the game, but it means a lot to me to be respected. And yeah, so thank you, and thank you everybody for your love.
No, it's fine.
Thank you all for coming on. And Chrissy, get ready. I mean, you are the first entry number 1 for season 3 of Winners at War. So we saw how it ended on Friday. You are the first name on that board, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So
I saw it.
You're going to be there for a while.
My friend James, shout out if you're watching. He played on Wednesday. He like took a picture of it. He's like, "Look at you all cute under Jalen and Joshua." And I was like, or Jacob, Joshua. They're both Jones. He's like, look at you all cute under the Joneses. I was like, oh my god, like what?
Yeah, season 2 ended with 716 and it starts with 716.
Well,
716
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to make my way to Winners at War. Chrissy, girl, you're going to have to go down because I will keep that Winner at War, winner circle, all black.
Love
and
you.
I'm coming to dominate.
We got about 19 more chances to get on that board, so there's plenty of time.
Also, to whoever's watching, if I play again, I know it sounds like I was super not loyal and super sneaky this game, but I'm actually really loyal. Don't vote me out if I play again next time. Please, thank you.
Same.
Advice for both Sequester and Podquester Mini. You heard it here first. Nick, very loyal. Do not vote him out.
I will go to. I went to a wheel for someone. I will go.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Well, unlike Nick, I was loyal the whole game. My resume speaks for itself. I don't need a disclaimer. No, I'm just playing.
It's a whole new competition. This is what we're going to end every reunion show with, is the final 3 letting people know why you should align with them in future games.
I'm playing sooner than you think. I need help.
Whoa.
We love spoilers.
I'm not going to say anything. I just
Stay
like
tuned.
look for me
Stay
in September. That's all I'll say.
Yes. Stay tuned for more content. Thank you, all 3 of you, so much for joining us. Thank you to our mods, as always, for looking after the chat. Thank you to Will from America for the theme song. We were doing Brickquester. I don't know if it's still going. I really have no idea. But
no, Josh just won.
Oh, interesting. So feel free to tune in there. We're taking off. Okay.
The airplane is moving.
Yeah.
Louie, final 2? Let's go.
Final 2. Absolutely. Final 2. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow for the private Harry Potter mini. I'll be doing commentary on that. That should be fun. And until then, we will see you out there. Goodbye, everybody.